and then give it a minute or two, give it a couple minutes to get up there and propagate in the system. It says my quality is excellent, and then there's the preview. Look, I'm looking at myself, 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 looking at myself. Which means I can now start autofill and activate. There we go. And now YouTube is up on chat. This is the step that I forgot yesterday, that I forgot on Saturday. I apologize very, very sincerely to all of my YouTube watchers. There are a couple of you, and you guys were stiffed the opportunity of being able to chat up on screen. If that happens, some of you I know have dual accounts, so feel free to jump into chat. I will not berate you for such behaviors. Stepping into the Twitch chat, going, "Hey, YouTube chat's not up." I'm happy to accommodate. You guys both have a right to be on screen. It's a God-given right to be on screen and embarrass yourselves with your own text, because otherwise I get bad actors in chat. I get bad actors in chat. There's always people who try to get a rise out of the streamer. And I don't know if a lot of streamers know how to deal with it. A lot of viewers probably don't, but when people come in looking for your specific attention, there's certain ways to kind of mitigate it, and usually it's by moderating it away. Usually it's like, "Hey, stop spamming in chat, I don't need a novel." And you have a moderator ding them. But we don't really have moderators. I'm not popular enough. I'm not cool enough to have somebody who wants to moderate my channel. Now, there's plenty of people who want to do it, it's just we don't need it. Generally, at this point, the moderators are just friends of mine. So, plus, if we get like a giant raid, if we get like a 20,000 person raid, I'm going to be knighting some of you. But that just doesn't happen. I get stage fright. Does that count as being a bad actor? No. Well, okay, you're a bad actor. Obviously, you're making a joke based on that phrase, but like, yeah. People have asked, how do you do what you do, Bother? And I say, it's just, you just have to have a particular kind of confidence. And not get in your own head. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's just like, it's not even that I'm super knowledgeable about this stuff. I am. That helps me be super duper confident. But it's more like you just have to be able to throw your feet in front of you and just move, right? And then something embarrassing happens and you just own it and you just go, "Oh, all right, well, I'm dumb." Why are we radical change in the music? I wanted to get the couple lines of code into this drum pad at some point. It's going to take me like 5 minutes, but this arrived in the mail and it's far too fascinating for us to worry about this right now. There's 3 wires coming from the back of this thing, so that should be indicative of what we're up against. 3 wires for 1, 2, 3 controls. That's one too many controls. So whatever we find in this is probably going to be fascinating and digital. Check. I hope everybody liked having Julian here. I'm never going to have him in my shop ever again. No, he'll be back around the summertime. He'll have time and the wherewithal to head in here. And hopefully at that point, the sim setup can be wheeled away into the other room and I can move the table back in so that they have room. Yeah, VCC ground and signal. I think we're dealing with another LIN bus device. This one's from I want to say 2015, 2014. It might be 24. I forget. They wrote the model on the back. It's a 528i 528i F10 series. So it is the same vintage as all the other equipment that we've been using from my brother's car. Thing is, this one just looked better than all the other ones. I wanted to have something that had this. There was one version that was just buttons for like brights and stuff. It's like, come on, give us the cool selector switch, you know, and the little knob that goes up and down. This will be for the sim, yeah. Conveniently being a 3-wire device, maybe we'll have to scan it in order to get the mounting points. But this will just go right to the left of the wheel, and it'll just be my headlight controls. It could control other stuff, but like this will do backlighting, so I can dimly light up all of the different lights and controls in there. I want the sim setup to look real crispy in the dark, right? I want it to be awesome to sit in this thing in the dark because I have LED strips, you know, up the wazoo, all kinds of stuff. iBus? Oh, it might be iBus then. iBus is just Linbus, isn't it? I think it is. Which, oh, God damn it. Hopefully the pantheon of BMW nerds have well documented all of the signals that go to this thing. Because although it is a backlight device, I have a feeling it needs to see a backlight packet in order to do its dark work. Or maybe not. Yeah, it was BMW's take on the Linbus, right? If I recall correctly. BMW was like, that Linbus is cute, but we're BMWs, so we got to be cocks about it. And so they made their own. Made our own Linbus with hookers and blackjack. And it was just pretty much a copy of Linbus protocols. Which means I should be able to use some of the Linbus test boards that we have to talk to it. These guys. We bought these for the steering wheel, and I bought a couple of them, which was a good call on my part. I also have some Linbus transceiver chips, but they're not on breakouts, so. Same bus interface? Okay, cool. That's very good news. These are for like a totally different board. I wish they were more like breakout boardy, like they were slightly different than that. Oh, I also got the plug for it. Where did that go? What did I do with the plug? It is freezing, man, in the Northeast. Our temperature's like plummeted. I'm shivering in my britches. But like the sun's out in full force and the sun's kind of warm. So it's conflicting out there. You go outside and you're like, I'm warm cold. It's nice to be warm cold. I'm freezing, but I'm not. The wind stopped and now I'm sweating. Yeah, three pins. The brown one's probably ground. Red one, knowing BMW, I don't know, red and yellow, and the other one's yellow-black. I have a feeling yellow-black is going to be our signal line, but maybe we can take bets on that later. I don't think I would stay in this room of the club if this were playing. Breakbeats can be like really hip and cool, but this one's kind of getting irritating. It's sort of crossed the line multiple times from being like really fun and cool to being too repetitive. And if you're going to be repetitive in your breakbeats, you need to sound like Jet Set Radio, and it doesn't quite hit that Jet Set Radio button for me. So I'm gonna axe this this mix, and we're just going to go to something that's a little bit more pleasant and backgroundy. I don't know what's more backgroundy. We could try another Breakfast of Champions, but I think they were going pretty hard in those mixes. What about like, no, that's in the wrong. I need to search within these guys. They might have limited function. They're like, SoundCloud's gotten real crazy about limiting your ability to control things unless you sign in, because I guess they want that data. I don't want to give them that data. I want to use this system because I could just hit play. Happy hour is whenever you're happy, from the Space Cowboys. I guess I'll try it. It's funny, Julian has all of these music-related habits around musical equipment and studio equipment. So when I got here to start stream again, I sat down and I went, all right, let's get some background music going, and so we can get through the, welcome to Space Cowboys, blah, 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 and, get into the meat of the mix and for pre-stream when they're playing songs that are kind of just flow into one another. No, I can't do that. We need to find my definition of chill. I need to just find that. But anyway, when I go to listen to the music, nothing's happening, and I'm like, what's going on? Is it the mixer's off? Turn on the mixer. Oh no, it's not that. It's going through a different device. What's going on? And I look at the device. Julian had turned the volume all the way down on it before he put it away. Spotify is not it's not effective at whipping the llama's arse. And that comment, I know who it is making it, even before reading Chong Mapong. Not only did it say arse, but it referenced Winamp, so that puts Flatulent Gonad pretty much in the bullseye for who would leave a comment such as that. I miss Winamp. Yeah, Winamp's great. You can still get stuff that does what Winamp does. It would be kind of cool. You could point Winamp at like a web source, can't you? So couldn't you use stuff like Spotify and things through Winamp? You probably can't, and I probably should. I've installed Winamp fairly recently to try to get some of my old weird LED things working. But yeah, good ad. Check this thing out. We're going to be looking at this thing today. This is a BMW F10 headlight switch. This thing was 27 US dollars, 27 fun bucks. And it has 3 pins running from it. 1 pin, 2 pin. Uh-oh. That means that this thing is digital. So how complicated could a switch really be? We're gonna get into that today. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. I hope there's good documentation. If it's a BMW product, there probably is. But I mean, this thing costs about as much as a sandwich at Wegmans nowadays. Mahalo, thank you for subbing. We should move the sub notification up a little bit. Hold on, let me do that. That would be Streamlabs. We'll just move that up a little bit. I do kind of like chat being cut off like that, but it should be cut off in a different way. So maybe we move you guys back up too. Oh, that's the wrong one. Oh, I love you, OBS. Love you. It's like highlighting the thing that I'm clicking, but then when I try to move it, it moves the thing below what I'm clicking. Yeah, we'll put that back, and then we'll take chat. Or no, chat's there. We do have a framed version of chat. I'm gonna leave that alone. We'll leave you guys unhinged. Untethered. And then Streamlabs. Go over here to the other corner. That'll do. We will not be moved. Don't shake the baby. Don't shake the baby. Don't shake the baby. Don't shake the baby. Or no, it's no, no, no. Don't shake the baby. No, no, no. Don't shake the baby. I don't know if you guys remember that. Let's see if I can pull it up. It was a live stream thing. They had that Nintendo baby. Was it Giant Bomb? He grabbed it. It was like, oh, it's a baby controller, and he just starts shaking it. Yeah, there's the. But whenever you do it, it goes, no, 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 don't shake the baby. I'm not gonna have audio on that. He just fucking starts shaking it. Please don't shake the baby. No, no, no. Oh God, what the fuck is going on there? All right, close that. Not the mama, man. That show ended on a cliffhanger. Or no, it didn't end on a cliffhanger. It ended. They fucking killed everybody. They had the ice age at the end of that, man. They all fucking died. It was a volcano going off, I think. I watched it, but like once, and I remembered it for years. That was the dinosaur show. The other one was Alf, that ended on a cliffhanger, and they went a little bit too hard into the cliffhanger and didn't get the series renewed, which Star Trek almost did multiple times. But for Alf, they were like, oh my God, the government abducted Alf, and then the series ended. There was no closure. That's insane. What an ending. And I remember watching Alf on reruns, and I caught that, and I was like, oh man, I hope I can catch the next one in, in order. But the reruns were typically not in order. So a couple days later, I'm watching it again, and I see Alf, and I go, oh, I wonder what happened in that episode. Maybe I'll see it at some point. And there's not an episode that resolves that. Because that would happen on broadcast TV sometimes. You know, if you were staying home sick from school or something, you'd catch a show, you'd catch like a MacGyver, and there would be a cliffhanger ending. You go, oh, it's a two-parter, but then they wouldn't play the second part because they were done playing MacGyver. That would happen more often than you would think. That was one of the big appeals of having streaming services with TV shows on them, is that you could actually watch them in order, and downloading a whole series and stuff like that. But back in the day, back when snow days existed and everything wasn't Zoom, you would sometimes not catch the conclusion of your favorite show. What are we doing? We had... Yeah, YouTube comment rolled in. We've got stuff going on over here. I've got people gathering. I don't have music on. I could put music on, but the music like tends to swing towards annoying, so I'm just giving up on it for right now. I still don't know who shot JR. Should have learned to set the VCR timer. What was that? JR. I don't know. I don't know the reference. I maybe from that era, but I don't know the reference. Is the Switch broken? It is not. J.R. Ewing. I was going to say weaning. You almost tricked me into saying weaning. And I'm not allowed to say ween on Twitch. Clarence Wiggleheimer. That's a great name to pronounce on Twitch. How's it going, my dude? Pretty good. Usually we have music going ahead of stream, and I tried to play breakbeats, but breakbeats kind of toe a line between really, really annoying and really cool sounding. And the only breakbeats in my mind that walk that line properly is Jet Set Future soundtrack songs, right? Everything else is really annoying to me. And so with songs playing these weird samples just over and over again with breakbeat, I'm kind of like, that's annoying. So I killed the song. It's a Matlock reference. Okay, I did not watch a lot of Matlock. Jet Set Future soundtrack. Hopefully freaking ads don't play underneath it. Oh, but you guys... Oh, no. Twitch can hear, yeah. Okay, we'll just play that in the background. A TV show called Dallas, Matlock, 1980s. So it's a modding the Switch stream. It's a Switch stream, yes. It's not a slip stream, it's a Switch stream for sure. I gifted a sub for another streamer and he absolutely loves my name. But he doesn't stream until I have to get to sleep and wake up at 5. It's the Euro issue is like you guys are all having your evening here and it's in the middle of the afternoon for me. Yeah, time zones are a bitch. It's a shame. Clarence Wiggleheimer would be like an instant gift sub from another viewer if I had the board going. And you know, I have not stopped working on the board. We're gonna get this one back up. I need to make a system for mapping the live edge. I don't know if I really like this live edge anymore, but we'll get this burnt and I'll turn it into a bench or something. I don't know. Or I will take a vertical bandsaw. I don't know where I'm going to find one, but take a vertical bandsaw and basically chop it in half. I don't need it to be so thick. But anyway, getting this thing running is going to require a lot of wiring. And now that the sim setup is here, I can access this more easily. So that'll be a little easier to do. I'm cursed with needing to fall asleep at 10. I kind of envy you for that. I've been getting to bed later and later. I am really borderline mullet territory here, aren't I? I mean, I could probably do a man bun at this point. That's looking man bunny, isn't it? I should probably do that at some point. I've got to get to the barber. I got to get to the barber. This situation's bad. Oh. Anyway, yeah, I envy you for going to bed at 10. I should do that. I should probably do that. What is free love? Yup. I'm gonna have my work cut out for me today, though. I don't know how well documented this stuff is. If it's not documented, like the Mercedes, I'm sure the Mercedes stuff is documented. I need to find where I can look up those. It would be nice to have lists of CAN bus codes, lists of LIN bus codes, and lists of iBus codes. Not a lot of people are making lists, we found, according to the research that we put into the shifter, which is still an ongoing thing. I'm trying to build up a couple more devices for this network so I can put together the beginnings of what this project is eventually going to be. Because over there's a Raspberry Pi that I got up and running headless, and it was able to push CAN bus messages around. Now I need to get Node-RED on that Pi, and I can see if Node-RED is fast enough to be a broker between a bunch of HID devices that'll be also speaking CAN bus. We're keeping it all in the family. A bunch of HID devices that will communicate with the host computer. I don't know if I'm going to be using them like this. This is kind of cute, but I could solder the power all the way down the line. That would be kind of funny. But then also open force feedback is going to be in there too. Kavorka Designs, the STM I ordered cam with the crystal dislodged. Oh, I'm in the middle of it. Is there an old school Mercedes forum that's still up? It's not. This is an old school. This is LIN-bus signals that I need. So these are like 10 years old. Old school isn't really 10 years old, is it? I have to look a little harder. I think if I go spelunking a little bit deeper into the forums, I'll be able to find stuff. What's that board? These are knockoff Seed Studio Zhaos. They cost me about $2 each. Knockoff Seed Studio Zhao RP2040. So they're just Pico Pies. And I'm just putting them on this thing because the USB-C to whatever adapter puts them here. And then this is just a USB hub. Yeah, old school is in dedicated form. Yeah. And then Raspberry Pi 3B Plus, not anything fancy, not the new ones. This doesn't need a Raspberry Pi 5, and I'm not going to pay for a Raspberry Pi 5. The STM I ordered with a crystal dislodged, got a refund, repaired, and the other one bought a new one for cheaper, got a second item, same price. That's pretty cool. At least they didn't ask you to destroy it. I know they like doing that with some products. Some sellers are so, I don't know what it is. They don't want their image to be tarnished by inferior quality products carrying their name. So if you get a defective product, they ask you to destroy it and send them a picture of it destroyed before they send you a new one, which there's a good use for AI. I need a picture of a thingy-wingy that's destroyed, that's been hit with a hammer. Anytime I find out that the only forum for something is a Facebook page or a Discord server, my hair goes gray. And the thing is, it's going to be like lost information. Soon enough, you're going to go to try to fix something and it'll only exist inside of a Discord server, which a lot of like GitHub documentation for certain projects exists only in Discord. It's like, join our Discord to see. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad because it's going to go away. They sent a bunch of items in a plastic bag. My parcels end up out in the snowbank because of the new delivery BS. Oh, that's bad. Yeah, forums are a much, much better documentation zone because they get scanned by all the robots, and then, yeah, you can eventually find all that information again. As we peruse all of these, like the image bucket changed, and so a lot of people have like, undo this screw, image bucket doesn't work. There's some fixes for those, some browser plugins that try to fix that a little bit. I've got one or two of them running at the moment. But yeah, that's a serious thing, is when you have all these user-made how-tos on how to repair something, and the company has moved on. They don't mess with that anymore, and there's no documentation anywhere. You can buy like repair manuals for cars, but other things don't have that. It's like, oh, what is that little modification that you do to get better reception, stuff like that. Like, all these things exist in the world, and they're kind of starting to erode. The internet is not as infinite as we give it credit for. Music should be pretty far in the background, right? How complicated could it be? It is only 3 pins, right? Yeah, there's blank 4th pin. The internet only remembers embarrassing things forever. It's true. It's true. I have an old Z car, and God help me if the forum ever shuts down. You mean one of these? One of these guys? Or like a BMW Z? I love this thing. This thing is so much fun. I would like to get out and actually drive it around again. Oh no, you have a 280Z. That is a very nice Datsun. Yeah, you gotta... Knowledge about those is pretty... There's a lot of stuff out there for those. That should be pretty well documented, right? What I want to do is I've got the print. It's been loaded up for like 6 months now. I have the printer loaded up with translucent. I mixed black and clear to make sort of a slightly tinted plastic, and it looks pretty good. What's up, Brian Labs? So I need to reprint like a window for my keyboard, and then print the whole car body in it, and then I can just paint all of the solid stuff and it'll look like tinted windows that you can see through. And then maybe I can stuff some LEDs into this thing, huh? Because that's what we were working on. We've got pogo pin, magnet pogo pins. So I've got 6 pins that I can communicate to the top of the car with. And then of course I will run it into a wall and it'll explode finally. Were you able to get that ignition switch opened, or did you give up on it for now? Oh no, we got it. We got it fully. The trick was to shove a hex key into it. The hex key got all the way back and had enough width to actually lower that little pawl, and then I shook the shit out of it and it popped out. So that will be able to convert to some kind of a CAN bus device. I don't think it'll be a sole CAN bus device. We might mix it with this thing because they're in the same area. I'll have to see. Or it might be the one with the stalks. I think that's probably the way to go. I had a friend with an E90, and we were checking out people doing modifications to the braking system to lock the differential to drift easier and get around the limitations of the open diff. Good Lord. I remember when doing that involved a welder. You just pop that sucker open and then it was a locked diff. It has the inline 6 for the first Gen Z, but it is the full injection, which only shares the 78 280Z. Oh, that gets kind of weird, yeah, doesn't it? I am the winner. Got a hot hand. What is up, everybody? Okay, yeah, sorry, just getting distracted. This is a good album. This is the Jet Set Radio Future album. Jet Grind Radio if you're in another country other than my default America. The thing is, I got this to read at 30 miles an hour without the gyro. And then I activated the gyro and I tried to do a run and it wouldn't get GPS. So the next time I take this thing out, I got to make sure it gets GPS. And then I got to do a high speed run with the gyro going to see what kind of speeds I'm getting out of this thing. I had to actually switch motors because with the, what are these called again? The Z cars or something? This is what just reminded me of it, is talk about Datsun Z. And I was like, oh yeah, I have a little Z car. But anyway, the limitations, yeah, Mini Z, there we go, that's what I was talking about. Mini Z, you can get a motor that completely outpowers your car. Like, speed off the line is not really all that affected with the more powerful motor that I have. It still jumps off the line too fast for me to steer. It just has an incredible, breathtakingly fast top speed, at which point this thing is like, it's sliding on glass. It just has no stability at all. You just can't turn, even with all-wheel drive. So I had to get a slightly less powerful motor and then a slightly less powerful motor. So 2 down from the top is a nice sweet spot where this thing can just barely go too fast for me to handle. And when I turn on the gyroscope, it'll do those minute little corrections for me. The friend I was talking about, he had 2 diffs, one welded and one not welded. It's fun, but doing tight maneuvers with wheels skipping is loud, yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's very much not the way that a car is supposed to operate. You're supposed to have, it's just a little differential action. Why is it not differentialing? Why are you not differentialing? Might have it set too hard. Well, you got to adjust these because they'll make your car just flip around if you've got the differentials set a little bit wrong. Welded diff there too. I don't think I welded the diff. I think it just The differential comes in handy on higher powers. Yeah, that's kind of gummy. I mean, the wheels are gummy too. These are like really soft. These are summer wheels. I don't know where today is going to take us. I don't necessarily want to do too much programming, but we're probably going to end up in the realm of programming once we get into this thing. Because, you know, I obviously know what I'm getting into. I've looked at it before. There's 3 pins coming out of a 3-switch device. So there's clearly something digital is happening here. Let's start in just a minute. We'll start in just a minute. I'll start a little earlier than I normally do. Usually it's 40 minutes, actually. We're kind of there, huh? We're kind of there. I don't know. I don't have much going on other than the simulator. I know there's things that I need to get to in terms of projects, and I definitely need to register my car as an antique. I can do classic and I can do antique, and I'm almost wanting to go with the classic registration because it's less embarrassing than driving around a car that says it's an antique when it's from the 90s, the late 90s. An antique from the late 90s. When did that happen? In terms of fighting the bird away from my car, I've lost. I'm not doing anything anymore. My car just gets covered in bird poop, and then I take a little pressure washer that I have and just hose it off and move on. I put a solar panel. I bought a solar panel that's about this big. What's the difference between classic and antique? I think it's what you can get away with, and insurance will treat it a little differently too. But I think antique, you're only allowed to be driving it during the day. So I may want to get classic just in case I happen to have a social life and go out at night. Of course, then it's always, well, officer, I was just getting home from the event and decided to do a quick load of groceries before going home. Antiques are like Model T or whatever. Not in Pennsylvania. In Pennsylvania, 25 years old. And my car is more than 25 years old. Classic is like 15. So I could have had classic plates for a while now. But with antique, I don't think I need an inspection. So there's that. I got to take a look at what the rules are of the two. I think maybe I get a slightly less scrutinized inspection or something. Plastic BB turret mounted on the car, laser beams, bird detection. That doesn't work, man. None of that stuff. The bird gets in and gets out in like a split second. I wouldn't even trust an AI to be able to identify that. Even a motion sensor probably will not pick up on the bird. I don't know, would a passive infrared motion sensor pick up on a bird? I don't think a bird's emitting too much heat. They're not exactly boiling. They're warm, but they got feathers over that. I have a collector vehicle plate on my bike. Never pay for tabs again. Interesting. I don't think we do collector plates here. I'm not sure. Let's take a look at what PA has. But I don't know, classic versus antique. I'll go for one of them, but it's been a year and I've needed to fill those out. I've gotten really good at avoiding the police. Plus a station wagon's like invisible to police, not invincible. It's very much not invincible. I love the song. Cooking for my son and his wife. It's his 30th birthday. Do 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 do. Anyway. Nobody's gonna ever hear that. The VOD watchers are like, did he just have a mental break? And yes, I did. But this is a part of the Jet Set Radio Future, Jet Grind Radio Future soundtrack. Oh no, yeah, Jet Set Radio Future's part of the name. I thought that was the second game. Maybe the sensitivity is very high, but you might get lots of false positives. Well, plus this, okay, so this freaking bird hops around on the roof of my car. It just hops around. No, not a care in the world. I bought a solar panel that's about this big that hooks up to the battery to try to maintain it. I feel like it's too small. It's 9 watts of power. I don't know if my car's parasitic drain is 9 watts. I think it's less than 9. I hope it's less than 9 watts. Let's see. 1999, 528, touring, parasitic battery draw. Watts. Okay, AI. Do I trust AI? 1999 BMW 528i Touring. Normal parasitic battery draw should be less than 50 milliamps after the car's gone to sleep. At typical voltage, 0.63 watts, and I've got 9 watts of solar charge going into it. If it's going to sleep property. Yes, it's over 25 years old, yes. They're mostly feathers as far as I know, so probably not. Maybe if the sensitivity is very high. Yeah. I have this problem where I look away from chat and I'm like, read something, and then I'm like, if chat moves one comment, I'm like, oh no, 100 people are talking all at once. And when I look back on chat, I try to look up on the list because you guys also blame me for reading it backwards. So I look way up on the list, and then I'll read a comment that I forgot about from an hour ago. So it's like, I'm trying to get better at being a streamer. I'm sorry. You guys don't care, but I care. Where I'll read stuff backwards just by virtue of the fact that I don't want to like read a comment from 2 hours ago. It's embarrassing to me. I should have more chatters. Drown my sorrows in seltzer. This is very much like an I Like Kraftwerk song. Who actually wrote this? The Answer from the Latch Brothers. It's a Latch Brothers remix. I don't remember Latch Brothers. This is a 2-hour-old message. Miguel Oz! Subbing 2 hours ago for 72,000 months. My streams get just a few chatters. Yeah, no, listen, I understand. I know where I came from. You got to be able to stream to nobody to stream to many somebodies, especially if you're building stuff up from Twitch or YouTube from nothing. There's like a privilege that bigger streamers have about chat moving a lot they just seems like they went too big too fast and didn't get their time in the mines. Ticking away their pickaxe at every individual user. We are very much at a point where the number of people in here, I know, and I know a little bit about everybody, right? There's just a little bit of information that I have about people and their personalities and stuff that I've got somehow lodged within the sticky confines of my weird meat puppet brain. But, you know, it's one of those things. 4.7K and not a lot of chatters. That's interesting. I wonder what does that. I'm an A-list. You know? We get like 30 to 50 people here, which used to be 50 to 70, but everybody went out and got a life, which I applaud them for. And YouTube gets 4. There's like 4. I don't know what is poisoning YouTube, but these analytics are always somewhat pathetic. It's like 1 viewer, we actually hit 2. 3, back to 2, they turned it off. Back to 3, somebody else came in. I'm too boring for everybody. I'm only on YouTube. This song actually fucking rules. This song is Latch Brothers remix still, right? Yeah. The Answer, Latch Brothers remix. Really good. YouTube is bad as Google search these days. Can't find new channels, it's all slop. If I clicked the button to do shorts content, the problem with doing that is that I think our screen would be like, you know, tiny. But that would instantly get people who are scrolling on their phones. But I don't think people who are scrolling on their phones are going to watch my content. Content's kind of niche, right? But it would be nice to get 1,000 viewers. On Twitch, 1,000 viewers is you're made. You're just, that's your job now. Yeah, scrollers want that instant stimulation or to have another face looking at them. And that's not really the way we formatted this. You know, if I were to catch the scrollers, I would need to be like this, like, hey everybody, it's oh bother. How are you doing? So it doesn't really get people. Maybe we'll get lucky one day. I mean, we've had Uo's Lab raid a couple times, and that's like a godsend. That's a lot of people. Robuz has raided a few times, and at one point, he's commented that more viewers stick around when he raids my channel than with others. I don't know how true that is now. It's kind of not. But those are all very encouraging things. It's just I need to figure out something else that's going to pop us up into the slightly more successful realm of Twitch streamers. And I think the board is the only answer. It's always been the board. The board's been what propelled us and gave us that sort of meteoric rise. If I had played my cards a little differently and the board was like, and the first couple of projects that I worked on probably would have triggered a little bit more and we would have had a higher trajectory. Because when you hit, you want to hit hard and then propel yourself into higher heights. So if I had done that a little bit better, I probably could have hit a couple other large channels and, you know, got something going. But we got the Knowledge Fellowship too. That's where some of those other chatters come from that are smart people. Hockey stick curve, yeah, and you know, whatever. We've been streaming for a long time. I've been doing this for almost 10 years, which is crazy to say. That's a crazy thing to say. Your engineering-based content only works on a very specific type of nerd. Yeah, nerds that are cooler than other nerds is kind of a tough niche that I've always been in my entire life. I am a slightly cooler than nerd, but I'm still a nerd. So it's like, what do you do? And being both an electrical engineer and a good communicator are kind of rare things. It's kind of an extreme niche rareness that makes it kind of hard to branch out from. I love this song too. This song is awesome. I love all these songs. Techno-pathetic. Playing games. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. 355 more YouTube subs, and you can apply for AdSense monetization. I was wondering when that triggers. Not for a long time, huh? YouTube seems to be like, you see stuff on YouTube streaming, and they've got thousands of views, but I guess they're coming from successful channels and doing streaming. I don't know how YouTube seems to be kinder for the numbers, but it's just not clicking for my content, and I don't know what it is about that. 400,000 watch hours or 1,000 subs, huh? I don't know if we can ever get there. Partnering with Twitch was hard enough. I didn't even know it was possible to be an EE and a good communicator. I mean, you see me stumbling over words and stuff, and I can't remember a single math equation. So there's costs. It's the monkey's paw curls. Starting soon, make it big. Oh, you see, that didn't catch somebody asking about starting soon. If you're streaming, then why is your stream start soon? Because we're not working. My cat gets more views than me. Listen, if I put the dog first and I put a shock collar on her and made her sit in her bed, the little bed that I've got set up for her, you know, the die is cast. There's a little bed. There's a little bed over there. And I found the shock collar. I found it. I could go get the shock collar, but that's not me. I'm not going to do that. She does not appreciate me yelling at the furniture. I have the cutest corgi on the planet Earth, and that's definitive. You guys can join my Discord and try to argue it with me in the Pet Pictures channel, because there's tons of pictures of Willow in that channel. She is the cutest corgi, and that is just a fact. It's just something that's in science books. You can open them up and go to the appendix and find Willow, and yeah, or Willie sometimes, yeah. YouTube just doesn't promote the live streams. They never have. It's down to you to find peeps to bring them in. Yeah, but so you grow an audience on YouTube with regular videos, edited videos, and then you build it, and then you maintain it on Twitch. But now there's also live streaming on YouTube, so does that help maintain? I don't know. My keyboard misspells. Yeah, I just don't know what it is anymore. I got to figure out. I can't spell. This keyboard sucks and sticks. It's not my fault. Teachers have failed me. Who would argue the cuteness of your dog? Straw men. Mostly straw men. Yeah. I think it's better if I move here. What, YouTube? I mean, we've got regulars. You guys, anyone with a YouTube logo next to their name is a regular at this point. They somehow have watched more than one of my YouTube live streams, which I think is a virtue. Cyberdunk, what are you doing? Strawmen are just so easy to beat up. Yeah, I know, man. Only Batman has trouble with strawmen. All right, so clown music is playing. This is the Jet Set Radio Future song that sounds most like clown music. I don't know how to feel about that. I'm gonna lower the volume on that and let's get started. On this clowny kind of note, the Twitch viewers get to hear the clown music. It's probably pretty dim and in the background, but yeah. Anyway, we'll start off stream. Boink, boink. There goes that. Yeah, I was just talking about getting viewers and stuff. This channel's kind of middling. We've plateaued already and are kind of coasting down in terms of viewers. That's fine. I got to figure out a way to rope people back in, and I think that's going to be really getting into the board. That's going to be a big thing. Right now, though, I've just kind of getting beers. No, getting bored. We gotta get bored. Anyway, how's everybody doing? I see a lot of regular names in chat actually right now. Everybody's hopefully doing really well. It's a cold Tuesday in Pennsylvania. The air is freezing cold. The ground is actually not that cold. It's not been super cold for too long, and there's a lot of sunlight. But man, that breeze is. I was shivering outside. Probably should have worn a jacket. Anyway, I want to work on some stuff. I've been kind of ordering parts, like the key fob thing for the simulator. The simulator is basically an attempt of mine to create a very complicated electronic system that is going to operate with luxury car parts in order to make a luxury car simulator. See, I don't want to just make a race car. It's easy to make a race car. You put like a piece of metal on the ground and you sit on that little piece of metal and then you try to get as uncomfortable as possible with like a really powerful steering wheel right in front of you. All the F1 drivers have done that for live streams. And you can I could spend $180 and buy something that's made out of tube steel that would mount the steering wheel on it, and I'd put a chair on it, one of those cheapo racing seats, and it would be this supremely uncomfortable place to sit and play games. I don't want to do that though. Historically, well, my brother called me and he said, hey, brother of mine, dearest brother of mine, it is great to be in communication with you. Let us talk about my aspirations on owning a BMW from 2014. And I said, brother of mine, that is the dumbest thing you could possibly do. That car is going to be double the cost. Never buy an old cheap BMW. They have a high mileage maintenance. And so, heeding my word, he bought the car. And then he spent the cost of the car doing the high mileage maintenance on the car. Like literally exactly what I told him. So, in doing so, he found himself at the junkyard. And at the junkyard, they have car interiors, luxury car interiors. And so he swapped his sport interior for a luxury interior. And so with the holiday season fast approaching, I said, dearest brother of mine, I have known you for many years. Please bestow upon me the seats. And I was going to have 2 seats. You should make some panel for your old viewers so they can record their own farts. You'll review it, and then they can play it on stream. If I had a little piece of paper, I should have, like, hold on. I do have a notepad. Hold on. I can do this joke. I can do this joke. It's going to take me a half an hour. I'll do the joke. I can do the joke, and maybe one day an editor will edit them together, and then it'll look like I'm being really clever and snappy. You really should never cook again. Oh wait, am I supposed to say you cooked? You really cooked? Because having viewers record farts and send them in is possibly the worst idea I've ever heard in my entire life. I think the meme goes the opposite way usually, but I'm doubling down on it because it's such a bad idea. It's such a bad idea, you made me double down on the meme. Anyway, my brother got a luxury interior, so he swapped out the seats, and little brother guilted him into bringing me a seat from a 2014 5 Series BMW. Unfortunately, not as luxurious as you'd think. The 5 Series should be a little bit more luxurious, but still. Anyway, that seat speaks digitalese, and so Klingonese. So this thing speaking digital means that we can talk to it, and I can put it in the tutelage of chat. You guys can talk to my chair if all of this stuff works out. It did have free bugs. I was finding stink bugs. Now, it was the season when it was cooling off. It was like Thanksgiving time, Christmassy time, pre-Christmas time. It was November-y. That was around the season when all the stink bugs from China start looking for warmer places and start finding their way indoors. But I found 2 or 3 of these things on occasion just chilling out on the chair whenever I'd interact with it. The thing about stink bugs is you better grab them quick and get them to the toilet, flush them down, because they'll get you with this weird chemical stuff that just makes me kind of like you smell it and you're just kind of like, so I found 2 or 3 of those, and I also found spherical white eggs inside. So I think there were a couple eggs. I think he did actually drop off a Trojan horse. The bugs are gone now. I haven't seen one in a little while. Now I have a digital chair. For $20, I bought a Mercedes steering rack. We still have to modify that a little bit because we had to crash it in order to make it fit. But I have an adjustable steering wheel, an adjustable seat. The pedals are still BMW pedals, but they can't really be adjusted. I don't know what those mechanisms are. I was thinking it would be funny to get a second car seat and use that as the pedal adjust, so it could have all of the lateral, the height, all those adjustments could be done. But anyway, so the real thing about the project and what we're actually doing here is I'm trying to get modern car appendages working on a system that will do the force feedback steering wheel. And that's probably going to be Open FFB, Open Force Feedback Board. That project uses an STM32 and it can control the Granite Devices stuff. I don't know if I can load it up on the Granite Devices controller that I already have. I bought this for $20, not the RAM. I bought this for another $20, and this has the chip that they use in Open FFB boards. So this could potentially become the brain. We'll have to figure out a nice enclosure for all that stuff. But what that'll do, because Open FFB speaks CAN bus. So this plugs into the computer and does force feedback. Then I can have my own system with a Raspberry Pi brokering CAN bus signals. I can also add other USB peripherals. So this will plug into here, and then this will do all the force feedback and some of the CAN bus stuff. And then I can have other HID devices control other things on the computer if I want. Or if I get this to run Node-RED, like this does, like all of my shop automation does, then using the MQTT server, the force feedback controller will have access to the internet. And so I can do things like chat can spend channel points in order to turn up the amount of force feedback that I have to deal with. That sort of thing. That's a big fat STM32. I know, it's the only one that I could find that was of a similar generation as OpenFFB. It's basically the same chip, but this one has a full megabyte of cache on it. So, or not cache, whatever. Program space, I don't know which one it is. It's a chunker though, it's a big boy. So that's the idea of this whole thing. This whole thing is basically trying to get as many devices speaking to CAN bus as I can. And so I was looking for the longest time for the headlight switch that was for my friend's car. My friend's car was an E46 M3, and he wanted to upgrade the switch, the headlight switch, to be the Euro switch. And I'm looking for, I've got the PCB down here. Where is it? Owie! Through hole. Owie, through hole. Ow, through hole. Through hole, through hole. Ow, ow, ow. Okay. This was the headlight controller for the E46 BMW M3. This is a digital-ish device working in an analog-ish car. And so what would happen is all of the controls from the headlight switch would come down here as like voltage levels and stuff like that. And then it would use these, I guess, these are just like FET chips in order to switch on and off all the various headlights of the car. But in a more modern car, the headlight switch is just one device, and it speaks to another device somewhere else in the car. Everybody just speaks to the bus and responds to the packets that are on the bus. Instead of being a local large circuit board like this, you could practically have the headlights have their own circuitry to turn themselves on and off, which is probably what they have now, to be honest. Instead of like a relay board, you have it local to the headlight. And then this just says, hey, the user just flipped on the headlights, and then the headlight goes, okay, I just turned on. And so you'll have each of your headlights go, okay, I just turned on, or there's a problem, my bulb's out, stuff like that. Yeah, everything is computer, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing, to be honest. The documentation is not as comprehensive as I would like it to be. That's what we kind of ran into a little bit on this. Increasing force feedback would be too boring. We also need decreasing for full chaos. Well, that's the thing. Increase, decrease, turn right, turn left. You guys we'll be able to bake chat into whatever I want to. As soon as I can get the CAN bus node red test, I need this test to go through. So we're getting distracted from it today, but this is the goal, is to get that test running so I can see whether or not this thing functions fast enough. Because once I do that, you guys get full unhindered control, and I can also alter the type of control. I can have, oh, today we'll let you guys do this, that, and the other thing. And then I'll also be able to say, like, I want this button to undo what chat did. And I want this button to open my door in game, and I want this button to turn on my lights. Like, I can do that now with these accessories. Once I get this thing speaking CAN bus, once we get this thing interpreting CAN bus, or like, whatever we make for this, it's going to have to take the signals from this and turn them into CAN bus signals, unfortunately, because I don't think this thing is CAN. It doesn't have enough pins to have a differential. You need power, you need ground, and so that's probably these two. And then we've got the one extra pin, so obviously it's doing BMW's particular flavor of LIN bus. The local interconnect network bus, the LIN bus, was developed by a consortium of car companies, and then BMW, being a bunch of friggin' obtuse nerds, obstinate nerds, went off on their own and said, we're going to make our own LIN bus, but it's going to be different. It's more different. We don't have to listen to you dumb butts. And so they went off and they made something called iBus, which is just LIN bus. It's just fucking LIN bus. Like, why are you like this? Anyway, hopefully, given that BMW has a particular flavor of nerd, hopefully we have full documentation of the F10 series iBus signals for the headlight switch. It's so niche. Mercedes nerds, we can't quite get in that same category. I don't know. Maybe if you guys know a resource that I don't, I would love to hear it for Mercedes LIN bus signals, because I still need to find out what the backlight signal is for LIN bus of a Mercedes of the same era, 2010s, 2015s. I really respect using the headlight switch. I was looking forever for the headlight switch for this, and I don't know what happened to it. I have a vague memory of me throwing it in the garbage, but that might just be a constructed memory. I have a very, very vivid imagination, and I have a very pictorial memory, which does not benefit an electrical engineer in any way whatsoever. But unfortunately, I could just as easily fabricate a memory of me throwing away the headlight switch instead of remembering that I've done so. I don't know which it is, but I looked everywhere. I turned the shop upside down. That switch was living up here for years, and now it's not, and I don't know where it is. So sadly, I went on eBay and I figured $20 is enough for me to forever forget and stop searching for that stupid switch. That switch we had fully categorized. What's this? Ooh, a slab! Rating with a party of 724. Well, listen, the 30 people that were here already, I hope you guys like explaining, because now we're explaining what we're doing again, and it's going to take me a minute. How are you guys doing? What are you guys doing over there? You're playing games or something? Oh no, working on programming a game. That's cool. I was just talking about all this stuff. Yeah, so that's a physical fart noise that exists within the shop. That is something that people are spending bits on over here. Something people are spending bits on in order to make these noises. The noises that you get in the shop are all over my lapel microphone. They're all from this microphone right here. So, I gotta tell this story again. I'm sorry, everybody needs context for what we're working on today. Welcome to Twitch TV Oh Bother, where we reverse engineer stuff and put things together, all kinds of cool stuff. He's making his own idle game. Oh, it's gonna be an idle game? So wet? Yeah, that's the wet one. There's 9 fart noises inside of this thing. This was one of those dollar store fart noise makers that had a bunch of buttons on it. We discovered that the buttons are actually like hooking up to 3 volts. So that made it super easy to just throw a transistor at all of them and then put an ESP8266, one of these guys right there. That's an ESP82. I just know that one's there because I'm looking at it at all times. Putting an ESP on there, and yeah, it's a bootleg. This is a bootleg one. And so that'll just trigger one of the fart noises when the Twitch API triggers the ESP through Node-RED. So I have Node-RED with all of my chat interactions. I have Node-RED with OBS so that if I flip to this camera, the light turns off. That's kind of what we're working on. That level of stuff is the type of thing that we do here. So the bootleg STM is reprogramming a MIDI pad, and that happens to use an STM32 microcontroller that I can fully take over. And we've gotten pretty far with this. We've got it so that I can see how hard you hit the buttons. That's going into a simulator because my brother decided to buy a cheap BMW. Never take it from an expert in older BMWs. Never buy a cheap BMW. There is no car that is more expensive because a cheap BMW has been on the road a while and it's due for its high mileage maintenance. High mileage maintenance, very expensive. So anyway, my brother goes, so I bought that BMW you told me not to buy. Oh, okay. He's like, hey, yeah, and I spent like almost the same cost of buying the car to get the car back on the road. And I went, yeah, I told you. So he goes, but I was at the junkyard and I walked by this car that had a luxury interior. So I've got this sport interior just sitting around. I don't know what to do with. I'm like, please give me the chair. I've never cashed in on a little brother privilege before. Just give me this car seat. I just need the car seat. So he brought me the driver's seat of all seats. I don't need the driver's seat, but I guess I got it. So we have the driver's seat from a BMW F10. I had already built a force feedback steering wheel that uses real car parts. That's been a channel project for quite some time. And so I'm putting it all together using Bemis's. So I bought hundreds of dollars worth of Bemis's and I put together this sim setup as best I could. We bought an electric adjustable steering rack from a Mercedes. This is 20 bucks. I have my electrically adjustable seat. And I have other CAN bus speaking things, right? They all speak, all these car parts nowadays, they all speak CAN bus. The controller area network bus, it's like an engineering bus. They use that bus a lot in like engineering robots and things like that. Like really quite advanced things use CAN. Also, your car uses CAN in a lot of different places. So that's the shifter that my brother dropped off. This is the automatic shifter from a BMW F10. It works by some magical principle, and I don't even know how to use the freaking thing. It's just like 4 buttons. It's like 2 devices. One device is hitting buttons, and the other device is lighting up LEDs. It's a very weird thing. Don't look at all my RAM. Don't look at all that RAM. That was sent in by a viewer right before RAM prices went crazy. Like this package arrived, and it had quadrupled in value by the time it got here. It's the only thing that's keeping my computer alive right now. Anyway, so if we can get all the CAN bus stuff to speak CAN bus, and if we can have a Raspberry Pi in the mix speaking CAN bus, which they do on 3D printers now, right? So you can actually go and buy a CAN hat for your Raspberry Pi. There's a way to get CAN bus into Node-RED. I haven't quite figured it out yet. I got to go through a tutorial to get it done. If I can do everything on Node-RED, that means chat interactivity can reach out and touch my stuff. And so while I am in my luxury car simulator, having a luxury car driving experience, you guys can reach in and poke me in the face and cause a horrible car wreck, or just fold me into a pretzel using the chair. That's the idea behind it. But that's kind of what we've been working on. I have been just absolutely distraught looking all over my house for this E46 BMW headlight switch. A friend of mine upgraded his to the Euro model. The Euro model has some extra features on it, like things that Euro allows. I don't fucking know. But he brings this circuit board over to my house, and it's actually plugged into the headlight switch. And it's this cool switch that does all these really cool things, right? It has an ambient light sensor, and you can turn up and down the backlighting on it. And it generally just has a lot of cool stuff that it does. It does it with a giant processor and a bunch of like switches. I didn't need any of that, so I unplugged it, and then I lost it. I don't know where it is. I don't know where it is. It's not there. It's not there. Maybe it's over. It could be by the money gun. I don't know. This is a side project, by the way. Eventually, I'm going to make it so that you guys can give donations, and with donations comes a barrage of money. We're going to hook this up to an ESP and hook it up to the Node-RED stuff, and then this thing will be able to spit dollar bills at me in a very comedic shot. We've tested that shot before, and it looks very, very funny. I keep losing stuff in the workshop too. Sometimes it just takes a day or two to arrive. It's been a month. It's been months. I have upturned every single thing in this shop, and God knows it's needed dusting. It is so fucking... And also all the corgi hair. Willow is my cute corgi. I was saying earlier that she's the cutest corgi in the world. We make sure that Willow is on every stream because I actually keep her in her bed with an electric fence. She has to stay... Oh, she got out. That's where Willow sleeps usually. Well, during the day when there's commotion upstairs. As soon as I start streaming, as soon as I sit on this stool, she gets up and just waddles away. She just leaves. She doesn't like it when I yell at the furniture. More power to her. If I'm trying to take a nap and somebody's shouting at a bunch of monitors, like that person's getting a wellness check from me. Like I'm calling somebody. That's not normal behavior. So anyway, she's out of here. We were building an electric collar for her, but that meant it was a 92 LED dog collar that had all these cool patterns that it could run. I don't have that hooked up right now. I could show you the 1,000 million billion people that just got in here that. But I do kind of want to get to this thing. Show me a pic of what you're looking for. Yeah, let me see here. We could just take a look at my camera roll, and oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, see, there she is sleeping right by the simulator. I took that picture because a friend of mine sent me a meme, and I said, your meme was so bad it killed my dog. RGB corgi, yeah, exactly. 92 LEDs, unfortunately, is a little bit of a draw on current, and so the original batteries for the for the dog collar would not allow the dog to be illuminated for more than 2 hours, which I guess is okay if I'm taking her on 2-hour walks, but I need to make sure that all the sleep functions on the microcontroller work properly, because otherwise I would be lighting fire to my dog or something akin to that. E46 BMW headlight switch. This is the thing that I had originally, and I don't like looking at this because it reminds me of what we lost. Look at what Bother took from you. What he has taken from you. It looked something like this. It actually looked pretty much, it was this. Look at that, $60. I'm not spending that kind of money on a giant man-baby toy. But I know how they work, and so the original one has that big circuit board as part of it. It's just this whole assembly that comes out of the car. They reduced all of that to this. And this is the 2015 version of that switch. It has all the same controls. I think it's missing an ambient light sensor, right? And some of them you see a little clear dot on the front, and that would be the ambient light sensor. But this is the new version of it. I went on eBay and I looked at what was cheap and BMW, because it's got to be luxury, you know? Cheap and BMW, and I found that this was $27, so I bought this. Unfortunately, there's 3 pins coming out of this thing, 3. Which means we have power, we have ground, and then we have a digital bus. BMW was part of the LIN consortium. The LIN consortium developed a less copper extensive version of CAN bus, and what they settled on was something that looks a lot like one-wire protocol, a little eerily like one-wire protocol, but for cars, and it uses its own signaling setup. We learned all this, and the reason I have this little LIN adapter board is because we had to reverse engineer this for my Mercedes steering wheel. Hopefully in the near future, I can find a source of some of the LIN bus packets and we can do things like turn on wheel heat and have backlight on the wheel. But being obstinate manufacturers and deciding to live so far up their own asses that they could see out of their own mouth, BMW decided to make their own LIN bus, and it's called iBus, and it uses the same exact technology. So we actually don't need any different bus interpretations, but what we're looking for is specifically flavored iBus instead of LIN bus. What kind of engineer are you? I studied at Drexel University in Philadelphia, control systems and motors, which is basically linear algebra. Control systems like robotic control systems, and then the 2010s were not too kind for motor and robotics people, and then the 2020s, apparently it's probably a pretty desirable job given that everything is going electric, all the cars and stuff. But yeah, so I pivoted out of school and I got a job in reverse engineering terrorist electronics, which was, it was bombs, bombs that were made overseas that were FedExed to the government, and then we would reverse engineer them inside of that facility. And then I decided that my creative pursuits, because at that time I actually was writing for Hackaday a little bit and doing festival stuff and things like that. And so I'm like, man, everybody's so transient in DC, I kind of want to get back to Philadelphia, because that's what you do. You get to DC and everybody goes, yeah, you know, I'm moving home soon. And you're like, oh, that's cool. I'm going to stick it out for a little while, maybe live here. And then everybody around you is going, yeah, I'm gonna maybe move home soon. So you're like, okay, fine, maybe I'll do that too. But most of my social life was here anyway. So moved back to Pennsylvania, got a job in medical device technology. I'm a type 1 diabetic. It's an actual real disability. I have an insulin pump on my arm, basically under everything. It's a pod. It's a pod that speaks to a third-party application on my phone, and it fully automates my diabetes care with a glucose sensor that's on my shoulder. So it's a third party. It's called the Android Auto Pancreas System. That took a while to get going, but anyway, so I'm bringing up that example because I'm specifically trying to say I know medical device technology. I know what I'm doing. Got fired from that job because I know what I'm doing. Got fired from the job because the guy who brought me in got fired. Weird company. And then I tootled around looking for something that I could do that was electrical engineering and neat and interesting and hopefully, you know, paid me enough to have a nice life. And I didn't find goddamn anything. I didn't find a single thing. There's just nothing. And so instead of sitting around all day, I decided that I would get some of that creative pursuit going that I've always wanted to do, which is streaming projects to people, because I'm okay at communicating what I'm doing, you know? So I decided to do this, and it was a slog, and it started very slow. It was just me and a couple friends watching me stream. I was building brewing stuff and this and that and the other thing. And then I built Burn the Subs, and that thing's coming back because I can't do UO numbers. Our channel has plateaued and we're kind of gliding down in viewers. I was saying earlier that the UO raids were a godsend. UO contacts me like right when things were kind of plateauing and was like, hey, let's go get dinner. Man, like things have been going okay, right? They're going okay, but I haven't had the board up. The board was the big thing that propelled my channel up into the stratosphere. And that's what helped me get partnered back in the day. We didn't think we could get somebody that does electronics to partner unless you're like Michael Reeves and you get 10,000 people watching you. At that point, you can actually negotiate with Twitch, which is nice. I can't do that. I'm small peanuts here, small peanuts. But so that's what we were doing at the time. Board filled up. I have 2 boards that are full of Twitch names. The thing about the board is that it allows you to sign up to the channel, like, you know, what do you call it? Subscribe to my channel. Why did I forget that word? Subscribe to the channel, and then a blue laser would burn the names into a board. So it's like this nice fancy board, and everything's like really clean presentation, and you've got just this wonderful system where you permanently burn the names of your subscribers onto this wonderful piece of art. And the screen names are like Poopsie Doodle 5000. One of the names that was on the board is actually Coming in Santa's Beard. And I don't mean that as a description of what they're doing. I mean that as that was their allowed Twitch name. And it was an established Twitch name somehow that never got censored. So basically what it creates is a whole bunch of gremlins in your shop trying to figure out how they can fool you, but you get money every time they do. So yeah, the AVE on the sticker, I bought the sticker before he went crazy. And I liked, you know, I was watching a video and it was on his mill and I said, I gotta get one of those stickers too. Turns out it's directly from him. Yeah, Butthole Tornado actually tweeted, Butthole Tornado is some girl who has a Twitter account who they tweeted like, man, I saw that my weird Twitch name got a sub again, and it turns out to be the coolest thing ever. And they posted a video of their Butthole Tornado being burnt onto the board. That's what it's all about. I loved that. I love the difference between usernames of Twitch content creators and the chatters. Yeah, those are really good. But those, yeah, the sign's good. AVE went a little crazy. I found my 12-year-old AVE ruler the other day. Wait a second. I swear I've got one. I've got one somewhere around. Ah, I just stepped on my box. Stupid box. Oh wait, maybe it's in here. I can't show you guys this drawer. This is the secret drawer. The secret drawer that's full of Pokemon cartridges. Yeah, I've got one of those sitting around here somewhere. It used to be magneted up onto this part right here. Oh well. Googly eyes on the button thing? Maybe. So anyway, I want to look at this BMW switch. No, I actually used this earlier. So this took me a while to set up. It took me a while to set up. You guys have some great ideas, but sometimes you guys have ideas that are so cursed that I have to relive the meme, but I have to double down because the idea was you should let users record farts for you, and after you review them, put them into the machine so that we can set off users' farts. And I was saying, never ever cook again. That's the worst idea times 2. And usually the meme is the opposite, but I had to double down because it was such a cursed idea. How dare you set off my idea light by praising that idea? Whenever somebody says idea in chat, I have a light up. It's the idea light. So these are the kinds of, like, you know, petty and silly interactions that Node-RED has allowed me to have with chat. Just because we've got all of the Twitch API here, we can parse out chat messages, raids, sub or gift subs, etc., etc., etc. And we can have stuff that's crazy happen on camera. And we'll come up with other stuff, but that's essentially the system. And then eventually, if I can use Node-RED for the sim setup, I can have viewers try to fold me into a pretzel using my own chair motors by giving channel points and stuff like that. Having the front end of the shop, the Twitch interactions, Clarence Wiggleheimer, subs, tier 1 for 3 months in advance. You very much are putting a lot of trust in me, and I love that. I love that. So they'll be able to change the force feedback characteristics. They'll be able to adjust the position of the wheel. They'll be able to adjust the position of the seat back height, lateral height, tilt, heat. If there's a heater in that seat, I'm not totally sure if there is. There's a whole goddamn computer inside of that thing. And it looks like this. Because I bought an extra one before my brother dropped it off. He apparently had the original, so now I've got this extra seat computer sitting around. But anyway, the point is, like, chat interactivity can go to, you know, full tilt on that thing. All my chat interactive stuff is triggered by making stream elements type command and then reading the IRC with an ESP module. So can the seat run Doom? Where'd it go? If you can get a Freescale semiconductor device that's that big to run Doom, you probably can get it to run Doom. Let's be honest. If you put a screen on it. So yeah, what I do here, Uwo, is I've got Node-RED running on my server. It used to be on a Raspberry Pi, but it runs on a server. And then I'm using the event sub, whatever it is, node, which is something that I went and found. It's somebody's event sub node. That's got all of the keys in it. So when things expire, they expire there, and I don't have to go searching around for. We used to have it on individual devices, like I had an ESP8266, or like the fart box. Like the fart box would expire, and then I would have to go into the code for the fart box, which I haven't looked at in a year, and put new codes in it. And then I'd mess up and show chat the codes. It was always a mess. So now we just have this one singular front end, and when a message comes in, you basically just scrape off the Java until you get what you want out of it. And then I have an on and an off for the lights with a delay in it. And that just goes out to Tasmota devices or whatever else we have in store. Like for instance, the fart box gets its own special thing. It's going out via MQTT, but it gets its own basically 0 through 9. Otherwise, it just makes a random fart noise. It chooses a random 0 through 9. So that's how you select the 9 fart noises. This one sets the message payload to 0, which the ESP interprets as random. Choose a random one. I smelled burning electronics and panic sniffed around my PC. Thankfully, it was coming from outside. That's always the worst, is when you suddenly start smelling something that's might be like burning. You might be having a stroke, but maybe it's not. Boy, far be it from BMW to stop putting giant processors in their cars. This board is from like 2000. This one's from 2014. They haven't gotten over it. They're still buying giant microcontrollers to put inside of their stuff. Arkanoid running on my Canon 60D. Some old oscilloscopes have Brickout and Snake already installed. We used to do that in college in the early 2000s. I'm too old. We used to do that on the college scopes. You'd press a couple buttons and then turn on the scope and you would have like Brickout on it. I smell burnt toast. Never seen such thoughtfulness in developing fart jokes. So that's, maybe you guys have noticed that I like putting maximal amounts of effort into the dumbest thing in the world. If it's myself or if it's, some kind of a stupid joke, but having a little electronic doodad that makes fart noises and engineering it perfectly. Let's take a look at what's inside of the Switch. Can I get some sunflower oil? That's up to Uo. I don't think he's selling. Actually, is that like selling bathwater? Could you sell that as like the Uo Slabs bathwater incident would have to do with sunflower oil? But when I tuned in, he wasn't able to get oil out of those things. I guess he used a different machine. Oh, BMW, I can already see it. I can already see it. Why are you guys like this? I think someone did a design hardware run to run Doom on a scope, on an analog scope. Yeah, a lot of those Doom things are pretty misleading. Like they say, they got a pregnancy test to run Doom, and it's like, no, they put in a nice screen on a pregnancy test, and then somebody down converted the video signal until it fit on that screen and displayed. There's the computer science runs Doom, and then there's the internet meme runs Doom, and those two have a little bit of overlap in what you can do, what counts as running Doom. So the pregnancy test was just an ESP. I think it was something a little bit more rudimentary, but yeah, a lot of it is just jokes, but some of it, but then it misleads people who don't know that, like, oh, the processor, that could never run Doom. But then the computer science majors make fools out of us all, those of us that are saying, oh, it's just people faking it out with a screen, and then they'll get like a pocket calculator to actually run Doom, like all of it. It's ridiculous. The logic analyzer comes with Doom already. The HP Agilent 17000 series, who's the French company? Le Creuset? The Le Creuset that we got, it was just a computer. And they put buttons on it. That's all it was. It was just a computer with buttons, but it was this like really powerful, what was that? Something analyzer. What are they called? Logic analyzer. There we go. All right, so we've got a couple controls and everybody is backlightable. And for some reason, this thing is super thick. I don't know why they made this thick. LaCroix and American. There's an O-scope that comes with Duck Hunt. Oh my God. So we're using wipers to essentially flip the buttons. The buttons are just tracks on a PCB. That's very simple of them. They've got a lot of power supply stuff. I see a big capacitor in here. And then the buttons are just simple rubber domes as usual. This thing is escaping me. It looks like, okay, it's just a round potentiometer in the end. So they just put a bunch of plastic around it. Simple as can be, right? And then you've got your backlight lights. There's one way deep in there. I think it's just supposed to illuminate the perimeter of the 45-degree angle thingy-wingy. This is like any cheap multimeter rotary switch. Yeah, that's essentially what this is doing. And it's probably just hitting a different button every time, a different pin on the microcontroller maybe, every time you switch to something. Most of the time in devices like this, they will have something elaborate to reset the button. In this case, they just decided to have two rubber domes, and then there's an LED in between them. No LED installed in the second one. I guess they're using the rubber domes as a spring to spring back up, but usually you'd have two separate springs. You'd have one thing reset the plastic, and then the other one would reset the switching element. You see that a lot. I don't know why they do it that way, why they don't just have one spring do the whole thing, but they probably have their reasons. Oh my God, this one was left over from having my music buddies were over here, and so I set up some pretty cursed camera setups. Let's get my big dumbass out of this shot before you guys start setting off fart noises as if I were the one farting. Too late. Ha ha! I win. I'm the wiener. Why have it simple when you can have it convoluted? I mean, there's probably a reason that they're doing it this way. Probably. Left and right hand drive. In some of the switches, they will give you two switches down here so that you can turn your your indicator lights on one side of the car or the other. In other models, you can do that just by setting the stalk in the right position, like doing some trickery with the switches in order to set, because I guess in Europe, people will park their cars on narrow roads and they'll illuminate the side indicators on the roadside so that they don't get hit by cars or something. I don't know what's going on over there. I don't really know what's going on over there. So this one doesn't even get an LED. It's just there's nothing there. And then this one gets a backlight LED, and I guess they balance the switch out by having two of them. It's called parking lights. For us, parking lights is all of the lights. You know what? I don't have a hazard light. Oh, that's on the shifter. That's right. That's right near the shifter. It looks like the segments on the rows somewhat match the notches. What are you talking about? Yeah, these would certainly line up, and they probably connect to a common. They seem to be doing what? So the believe it or not, BMW indicators exist. I have them in a bin. Usually I have them so that I can go and show chat immediately, just because it's such a meme. Having the indicator stock of a BMW is a flex of mine. We reverse engineered those, and with those stocks, with the old headlight switch and with a couple other devices, the way that BMW decided to indicate that you're in the different positions of your control is by having a voltage divider. Voltage dividers, when you have two resistors, one is connected to power, the other is connected to ground. And if they're the same value, both of the resistors, you're pulling up and you're pulling down at the same rate. And so that voltage level is half of what your input power is. That's a voltage divider. Nobody sat down and explained that to me in my class, or I skipped that class. And so when I actually got into industry, one of my coworkers routinely made fun of me for not knowing what a voltage divider was. Voltage divider. One resistor goes to power, the other resistor goes to ground. If they're the same value, half the voltage is on that thing. If one of them is weaker than the other, it'll pull that voltage level up and down. And so what BMW did is they choose a resistor that's somewhat in the middle of that voltage divider, and they connect it to different other resistors. So the top resistor, well, in this case, the resistor going to ground, I believe, is the fixed one, and the one going to power is the, no, it's the other way around. No, I don't actually remember. I'll have to look at my notes. Anyway, point is, one of the resistors changes, and so when you're in the different positions of the stock, the resistor on that divider will change and you'll get a different voltage level. That means that BMW does not have to provide as much copper to get the signal from one end to the other. You don't have to have 5 wires to control 5 different speeds of your windshield wipers. Now, the way they do it in really old cars is that voltage divider just goes to a motor. So you just have the different speeds of your motor done that way. But now the motors are a bit more digital. Everything's a bit more digital. And so at least in the 2000s, what they would do is run a different voltage level on that wire. Nowadays, the way that they do it is they have a digital bus that speaks to everything. And one of the signals in there happens to be the position of that potentiometer. Instead of having different voltages here, we're just going to different pins of the micro. And then this is outputting a different digital signal that says, hey, I'm the backlight stock is kind of up there. BMW's copper is of very poor quality. Poor Ia Nasir. I'm probably pronouncing that completely wrong. Then again, we do not have a lot of pins on this micro. It seems like they actually were able to hold back on their primal urge to use a 600-pin microprocessor like they did in the seat. And on the headlight switch, they decided to use something a little bit more, an Atmel, a little bit more refined. An ATA 6624. I don't know anything about that chip, but it is Atmel. Is there a reason for the thermal cam? We do a lot of soldering. A lot of my talents involve soldering things. Unfortunately, this is kind of involving digital buses and stuff, and so I don't have to build anything. I enjoy soldering. I do it almost daily. And it's one of the things that is really fun to show off here. And so having the thermal imager means that when I go reach for something and I go, you guys know that it was hot. What are you guys saying over there? Why do they use a voltage divider for something as simple as indicators? Because you have one wire that communicates where your stock is at all times. That's how they do it. Back when microcontrollers were a little bit more rudimentary, it would put a different voltage level on that wire, and then as long as it's within a threshold, it'll interpret that as being a particular signal. That's just how they did stuff. And again, it basically is the step up from the system where you would be sending different voltages to run the motor itself. Nowadays, you indicate to a computer, and then the computer runs the motor differently, probably more efficiently, but just slows it down. It looks like we are doing resistors, though, because we've got 4 positions on this thing. This thing looks a little dirty, doesn't it? We've got 4 positions on this thing. We got 4 resistors here of different values. So with reading resistors, by the way, surface mount resistors are my favorite thing in the world. Not really. I like them. They're not my favorite thing in the world. I can continue to exaggerate just for the sake of being a streamer. But no, the surface mount resistors are really wonderful because instead of having like a color band where you have to memorize a Roy G. Biv, which I never did, instead they're just written directly on the tin. So these are 1201s, which are oddly large for the system. 1201 is the English inch fraction size of the box that they represent. And then the value is written directly on the front of this thing. So you have 200, and then the last digit is the number of zeros. Now you can put that into a math equation, but why are we, I refuse to do anything to do with math equations on camera. So 1 is just the number of zeros. So 200 with 10 is 2000. So that's 2 kiloohms. Very easy. Chat's moving too fast for me. I was just talking about what to do when chat moves fast. I like SMD resistors for that too. They're so much easier. Yeah, it's so much easier. I should see if the junkyard still has the 2003 Porsche Boxster. I don't know if you're going to get into this type of project with the 2003 Porsche. I don't know, man. So anyway, we can tell by just looking at these numbers that we've got 19, 11, 10, 20. I don't know why why don't we just put them in order? I don't know, it just comes through at a data sheet. Oh, we got another one up here though. 17. So wait. Oh, but this is connected to that through there. Probably a power bus. The bus. Yeah, okay, so this is likely to be power or ground. I'm not certain on which one. But then that goes through a resistor that biases this potentiometer here. And so when you flip to the different positions of this switch, these go up to power or down to ground, I don't know which one, and then to the switch. And then the switch is switching probably a common to them from the middle. Don't know why it's so convoluted. I don't know why you need all this. Maybe there's a lot of settings in some of them. And then from there, ooh, we've got a lot of stuff that kind of gathers up. Gathering up, and then we're going to the approximate area of the microcontroller over here. So power's coming in here, and because car power standards dictate that you have to be able to connect the battery backwards without causing significant damage to the car. So they will have these big ass diodes that are in the path of power for an automotive application. Generally, the ground plane is ground. Sometimes you see them making it power, but usually it's ground. So I'm assuming that this third pin there is ground, and so our, which color wire was that? Yellow and black wire is apparently the I-bus signal. And then this going directly into the diode indicates that it's power. Donut. Yeah, we got the... Actually, looks a little bit more like a Wu-Tang logo, if you ask me. Let me catch up with chat a little. Yeah, typically the copper plane is ground. Sometimes you can find counterexamples, and when you're looking at the input power of a device, it's easy to confuse very large traces with a plane of that would be like a ground plane. So like if I were to be running a lot of current out of this device, I might make an entire section of plane into the positive so that I have a lot of copper between my things, and that would confuse somebody looking at it into thinking, oh, that's a ground plane. So you got to be a little bit careful with that. We can see that this is definitely going into the cathode of a diode. I think A plus, C minus, anode, cathode. The bar is at the cathode. This goes into the anode, as it should. So it goes into the positive of the diode, comes out of the negative of the diode. You can say that until you're blue in the face, but there will always be counterexamples. There will always be counterexamples. Okay. So we're just getting to know our circuitry here. A to the K, Cypress Hill. We got Wu-Tang Clan, we got Cypress Hill. These look like they're just going to be orange LEDs for the backlight. I can't RGB my headlight switch. The temptation is there, though. I can easily modify this thing. Anyone seen the capacitors with color stripes instead of numbers? Yeah, they're harder to find. They're equally as annoying. I've seen surface mount ones that have color on them for the capacitor. There's our capacitor. We've got not a tantalum. It looks like it's going to be well, that actually might be a tantalum. Tantalums are pretty sensitive for an automotive application. Automotive, you see all kinds of electrical nonsense. You could even have to withstand a lightning strike in automotive engineering. So it's interesting that they're using that. I don't know what this is. Let's look this one up because this one's fascinating. SG16 SCTJ. Sometimes it'll just be like a memory device, which kind of I'm seeing here. Something for the microcontroller to store stuff. That's probably what this is. Red LEDs make it go faster. Does BMW still use orange? They're not doing red, are they? I think these are probably orange. Let's just look this up real quick. SG16 SCTJ. That's hard to... I'm going to do this in a separate window here. SG16 SC... Is that I? No, it's T. TJ. The manufacturer's ability to source chips directly from companies makes it very difficult to reverse engineer larger ticket items. Things like my insulin pump that got a custom microcontroller from Freescale Semiconductor. We couldn't find anything about it, right? We can find stuff about a similar model of microcontroller, but it doesn't necessarily have all those same features. Atmel, the particular one that they're using in here, it might be more common. It seems, I mean, they weren't reluctant to put their logo on it. An ATA 6624 might again be difficult to find. Yeah, it is indeed a full-on microcontroller. It's a 13-liter mini ITX Cube PC case designed for compact builds. Thank you, AI. Let's put a PDF on that. Is it Freescale? No. Yoink. That is Freescale's logo. Freescale semiconductors, or a little weird looking wing of dots. Pete the Clanker. Something or other from Joe Trin. Ugh, they're always trying to sell it to you. Where's the data sheet? Sendstreet. There's all data sheet. Okay. Oh, you son of a... Oh, it's a phase control thyristor. Of course. HSC8 microcontroller from Freescale. SG16. I don't know if this is the right thing. A full-blown second microcontroller would mean that they have one that's monitoring the bus, and then the other one's allowed to do its own thing. I hate having to click the individual pages because I can't even see. Where's the info? Freescale? Geez. That may be what we're dealing with. SG32, though. This would be the SG16. Previous site, the one with the manufacturer. Okay, yeah, let's go back to that. Let's go back to that because this is the 30. We're looking at a data sheet for the 32-bit version of the 16-bit chip that we have, although this pretty much confirms that it is a microcontroller. That would be not that one. Where's that PDF? Right there. Uh-huh. Really? Sendstreet, you've never done wrong by me until today. I don't know this website at all. I've never seen it before in my life. All right. Mountain View components. Surely, I mean, I thought all datasheet would have had it. Whatever. We're calling it a microcontroller. So if they're both micros, I guess this app mega device, what is it? Is it connecting directly to, oh, we don't get to see unless I pull this thing off. Our data pin's coming in here. It's got a pad there, goes to that, and then we don't see it anymore unless I pull this thing off, in which case we can find it. It's just going to be kind of a pain in the butt. So down we go. We're in this one. And that goes up to here. There. Unknown resistor. Or no, it's a 10 to, wait, why would it go through 20 Ks of resistance? I guess because it's coming in from the outside world, they want to make sure that it goes through a lot of resistor. And then it comes to this one here, which is the second from the top. Second from the top on that row is this one. Jumps down to here. Oh boy, that's 3 up from the bottom of that constellation. I'm going to lose it in more ways than one. That's here. That one goes 2 directions to another pad. Is that really that one? Yeah, it is. And then that comes also under this, whatever the hell this thing is. It might go into this because there's nothing else going on with that chip. There. What the okay, so it's all over the place. Never a macro controller. It's true. This is pretty micro though. Macro controller would be what Flatulent Gonad was making. He was making a giant 555, the size of a coffee table. Yeah, not Linbus. It's actually iBus, which is Linbus. BMW decided that they wanted their own bus with blackjack and hookers, and so they made iBus, which is the same as Linbus. Okay, well, so what we have is we have a microcontroller running things. We might have a split voltage level that goes into this microcontroller, or maybe this microcontroller is communicating with the outside world and this one's taking all the inputs. They look like two very limited number of pin microcontrollers, but they've got a 16-bit one. Let's see what the Atmel is real quick. ATA 6624. Atmel. This might have been something commissioned for BMW though. Oh, no, there we go. 662426 LIN-bus transceiver. So that's the ASIC. That's not actually, this is not a microcontroller. This is the transceiver. Are LIN-bus and CAN bus different? Yeah, LIN-bus effectively has a different addressing system and a different speed. The big advantage to it, to the car manufacturers, because they don't care about complexity. They would rather have engineers solving problems than have too much copper in the car, hurting their fuel efficiency. So LIN-bus has one wire, CAN bus has two. CAN bus is really strong against noise and stuff, but if you have low priority things like user hitting button, you don't really need all of that, you know, noise stability and speed and a capability of CAN bus. So they've gone down to use LIN-bus as sort of their low priority, low speed, human speed kind of signaling, and that way they can save one wire to every device that uses it. We even found the steering wheel setup that I had before, the one that used a Mercedes steering wheel and real BMW pedals and a 3D printed shifter. We found that the shifter, the pedals, the steering wheel signals, all of those started to slow everything down a little bit. Just having 3 or 4 devices on the bus was enough to really kind of start to affect it. So in that sense, I guess going with CAN bus is much better because it's so much faster. All right, so yeah, BMW has their own, they're starting to mess with making their own proprietary BMW screw, which is why I have this wonderful example in front of me. This the Ertlurker board. The Ertlurker board is a particular, it's a short lurker, but his name was cut off. Ertlurker. So the Ertlurker board is very important because it has my favorite example of screw technology. You see, BMW is looking to make their own screws. BMW screw patent. They want to make these little buddies right here for their automotives. Now, it's not really exactly trying to make something proprietary in his, more of what they're doing here is just trying to make a fancy looking screw. Like, even in my security bit thing, I've got screws that could easily defeat those BMW screws. So whatever, they want to make their own bolt and they want to make it look fancy. That's fine by me. But when you try to do security like that and something like a screw, my favorite example is the Torx security screw. There's no way that I could put my Torx bit on that. It is a 100% accurate and reliable security device that nobody with just a basic security set of drivers can get through and undo. That's too big. It's actually this one. There's no way that basically every Torx set now. Okay, that aside, assuming that we're in the early days and those are difficult to source, any more difficult than just buying a set of screwdrivers, this is absolute and complete security for any of your, wait, what are you doing? Stop that. Stop it. What are you doing? Wait, you can't do that. Hey. Yeah, so they're completely insecure. You can use a flathead to get through security Torx, and the security Torx is actually helping you in just having a slightly offset screwdriver, which means it takes less torque to undo the bit. You're actually helping me. You fool, you've helped me. And even if this thing breaks off, you could still find a bit that goes between those two Torx spans and still undoes it. But it's just like every time we're taking something apart. They used to do that on Fridays where we take apart like something relating to gaming, like a controller or, you know, like keyboards and stuff like that. You used to take them apart, look at the engineering, see what they're doing inside. And oftentimes we would be confronted with these silly security Torx bits. So I had to have this example ready to go at all times. It's just so simple. So simple. There you go. All right, anyway. We took a look at this thing. We can see that there's a very high pin count LIN bus transceiver chip from Atmel. I'm gonna take a look at that just a little bit. Just take a quick peruse of the... Why do you have so much crap? You're just dealing with LIN bus. It's got different modes, wake up timer, edge detection. I've detected your edge. Yikes. And usually with datasheets like this, when you've got something that's so specific like a LIN bus transceiver, an ASIC, an application-specific integrated circuit, ASIC, an ASIC like this, they're going to give us a circuit that we can use with a microcontroller, and that's pretty much exactly what's going to be on this board. Typically, when a manufacturer says, hey, you can use it in a circuit that looks like this, that's the circuit that they're going to be using it with. There's not going to be too many deviations from the parts involved. So like down here, yep, there it is. Microcontroller hooked up with all these accoutrements, all the capacitors and resistors and transistors, and we can definitely see, I mean, 2.2 microfarad capacitor. Oops, that was a blank one. They changed the cap. Like that's as creative as we're gonna get with these things. 47 microfarad. So yeah, that's gonna be pretty much realized exactly the way it is in the datasheet. Yeah, Control-C directly out of the demo Gerbers. Exactly. They're just not gonna be that creative. There's a missing like flat cable kind of thingy. I wonder if that's to program the micro. I mean, you can use these test points, and they probably do at the factory to put it together and then test it. But I wonder if in engineering this thing, they had a little flat cable connector right here so that they could program their 16-bit micro. That seems to be the case. So what these pads, these pads are test pads, and in the factory, what they would have is something that can basically seats onto the circuit board and has what are called pogo pins, which are little gold-plated sprung pins. They get sprung. And they'll connect electrically to all of these pads. So you basically just have, at the end of the robot that puts it all together and solders it, you just place this down in a thing and it goes do-do-do-do and then approves it as working. The scary needler machine. Yeah, it's the torture device, the medieval torture device, bed of nails. Okay, so all that said and done, we don't really need to get into this device, not in the same way we did with this one. This one happened to have an STM32 microcontroller. I think it was probably locked down. But because of the nature of the STM32, we were able to reprogram it with the Arduino STM32 device and take over the whole device. And so I'm getting into the last parts of that. What in the world? Is this? This is just to aim your backlight to the center of that button. That's a lot. Yeah, the size of this thing is basically dictated by the LEDs spreading light out. They can use fewer LEDs if this thing is thicker, I guess. So this all goes back together the way we found it. And now we're at the mercy of the internet. Oh wait, I didn't do the rubber domes. What's getting stuck? What do you, hey, there's a pin post. Yeah, so this button can't really do anything with it. I don't know, like you could 3D print, cut a hole and 3D print an extra button if I really wanted on this thing. The possibility is there. I don't know if we'll get a signal out from that. Maybe when we, after a Herculean amount of effort, are able to actually communicate with this thing. Maybe we'll see if there's probably room digitally for the communication of another button, but will that actually push? And I guess if I wanted to, I could backlight that button. That would be kind of fascinating to do. All right, so get this thing back in without harming it. So now we know that the center pin is the bus pin. And then, which one is power? Where are we? Where am I? Help. Help me. Help me, where am I? Oh, they're there. Got them. The inboard pin, the one going to more material, is the ground. Or is it? Oh, no, never mind. This one's power. So the outward facing one is is ground. I think the rotary switch also has at least one unused pad for another position that they're not using. And there's a lot of these resistors in here too. What other light things would they have? There's all kinds of versions of this, so I would assume that there's things like that throughout. Let's see. It's crazy that even though they have a full-blown microcontroller, they're not running, they're running them through resistors in order to go to an analog pin. They just can't let go of that that old design, huh? Yeah, this is BMW. The Audi Volkswagen group. Not involved. That's another potentiometer. Oh, and they're using that tiny... So the potentiometer's biased with these little tiny components that are probably under all this plastic. Oh no, they're there. They're right there. They're right on the edge of the board. What am I talking about? Why 1206 then? Huh, weird. All kinds of stuff going on in the background of these. We actually have... I have an E46 BMW automatic shifter. It's that guy right there. Originally, this thing was designed, because we've taken apart this thing and looked at the circuit board, and this thing is fascinating because it was originally designed to use switches, and so there were all these switch pads all over the PCB, but then it seems like it was very hastily modified to use Hall effect sensors, because then there's Hall effect sensors, but the design is crazy. There's all kinds of like weird things that I would never do in designing a circuit board, where you've got like a trace that comes into a trace like this, and there's just like weird angles, and then there's two areas of the circuit board that have been machined, and so they've got round like cuts, right? And the circuit board trace that goes around that cut, on one of them it's round and it matches the radius. On the second one, it comes in and it does a bunch of angular turns, not 45, like less than 45 degrees, but they all like block it up as like an angular turn instead of a smooth turn. Very strange. The Volkswagen one's very similar. Yeah, those companies all create stuff that's really eerily resembling one another, don't they? I don't know how this backlight light is supposed to be doing its job. I think what it does is it gets light into the cracks of the seam of this thing. Tomato-licious. I watched a pro repair guy take apart a new washing machine recently. They still had the physical button pads on the PCB, but hacked on an I2C encoder for the touchscreen. What the heck? Yeah, sometimes you find that sort of legacy stuff sitting around. Very strange, but I am glad they went to Hall effect sensors. My buddies were telling me that was the only reliable electrical part out of the BMW E46 M3. All the other electrical parts were plagued by Bosch issues, but that one apparently was reliable, and it looks like it was an 11th hour redesign. They were doing it during, you know, Oktoberfest on a Friday. Wouldn't be surprised if some of them share some of the molds of the plastic parts. Yeah. Lighting up your crack. Yep, that's what we're all about. Oh no, it's actually to light up this. Okay, that makes more sense. Because otherwise they would line like a little light material around this. This thing will be really cool once we can get it to work. I don't have to do any of the engineering of interpreting all of those resistor values. I have to do that with the stalks. With this one, we can plug into it digitally, and now we know that it's ground lin power. I don't want to write GLP on the side of this in case I accidentally try to inject it into my stomach. Let me get a marker on this and just do... plus L and then G. So now we know how to power this thing. Make a custom board for it. You know, listen, with the bloviating orange man in the White House talking about tariffs out of fucking nowhere, because apparently they had a good idea in the 80s when their brains still functioned. I don't know what's going to happen with the cost of getting custom circuit boards. We've done our fair share of custom circuit boards on this channel, and I would love to be able to make my own custom circuit board for this. I wouldn't like to redesign this though. It's already designed. This thing is fine. We don't need to do a goddamn thing to it. It's beautiful and wonderful as it is. Never change, never change. And it feels like a real car switch and still does all the real car switch stuff. As much as I would like to turn those switch contacts into an actual Wu-Tang Clan logo and still have them be the right things, but whip the acid out in the laser printer. I've never made a good board using those techniques. You can do it, but then you gotta have these really horrible chemicals in your shop, and I don't like doing that. We can drop a $5 on a foreign company and get a perfect circuit board in like a week. And I will continue to do that, and we will go back to doing that because this too shall pass, right? Things will get more stable. We'll be able to work on modular synthesizers again once things have kind of settled. And for me, I'm not in like an emergency need to build a... Hold on, my foot! Talking for 5 hours is a wonderful thing sometimes. I just love it when my voice decides to drop. Something stupid. It was basically a booger falling on my vocal cords at the same time I was talking. I'm fine. Anyway, so too shall this pass. We will be able to make circuit boards for all kinds of cool projects in the future. Right now, I'm not looking to make circuit boards. I just can't do it. Julian was going to have me do his, whatever it is, his mixer circuit. And I was just getting into that. And then he found a British company that makes exactly what he wanted. So he's just going to buy that. It does literally exactly what he wanted. Every single feature that we planned on having in that mixer, the Brits did. So me and making circuit boards are in a complicated situationship at the moment. But it shall pass. It shall pass. Yeah, I like that circuit board a lot. Those curved traces are all done with Fusion 360, who sponsors my copy of their software in exchange for me doing a couple sponsored streams every now and then. Fusion 360 is... I've used Eagle. I use Eagle. Used to use Eagle, still do too. And so Fusion 8 Eagle. And so now my copy of software is Fusion Eagle, which means that I can design boards like this with parts that I find on the internet. Basically, usually it's what's that website? I forget the website now. It's the big database of CAD files, has all kinds of electronic components parts in it. No. It's the one where I get my files from. And so using Eagle and the Eagle design techniques, I can have a very nicely rendered 3D version of the circuit board. I can send it to the place that I like having them made, which is Seed Studio. And then they'll send me a professional looking circuit board that's exactly like my design. So, and then if I want to design 3D parts around, plastic parts around the circuit board, I've got a really good 3D model through Fusion. So yeah, that's what I use. There's FreeCAD, there's Tinkercad, there's all kinds of other CAD programs that one can use to do these things. But that's just what I use. So in terms of getting this thing, I could give this power and we could take a look at it if it's saying anything on the oscilloscope. Let's try that. SnapEDA, Octopart. Yeah, I can use any of those places too. Actually, the more fun ones is when the manufacturer provides you with that 3D file and you've got all this level of detail that you don't really need. Where'd that come from? I don't know if we'll actually be able to get specifically control of... Well, I don't know if this thing will start spitting out LIN-bus. Hopefully this thing doesn't need a freaking security code. I don't think it will. I was just looking at some RJ9 connectors on AliExpress. 100 connectors for $2. Yeah, but then you got to store them somewhere. That's the problem that I run into here. Is that like, yeah, thousands of something is great, but like I'm drowning in my own filth. Look at all this stupid simulator stuff going all the way up the wall and components coming out of my ears, and I don't even have a single open flat surface anywhere in this freaking shop. I have man boobs, so yeah, not even that is flat. So You know, I'm not looking to get 500 or something from AliExpress, per se. Don't pull your drawers out on my channel, all right? Saying he's got pull-out drawers for everything. It's like you give chat an inch and they take a mile. Now these are 0.1 inch spaced, so I can just use DuPont connectors. It's DuPont. What a dumbass. I always think of that Dumas commercial. You're not gonna stop me. You have one of the cleanest benches in tech and engineering category on Twitch of people who actually build stuff. I mean, it's not like partially on fire. I guess that puts me above Uwo. I don't have like a giant burn mark in the middle, although I do need to do more crazy stuff with you guys. Look at all the labeling on this. This is way over labeled. We don't need all this information, guys. I got individual pin numbers, even though pin 1 isn't actually. We got pin 2, 3, and 4. We've got like a part number on the bottom half of the connector. We got a BMW marking on the top. It's just too much embossing. Too much bossing me around. So as predicted, yeah, so this is brown wire is ground, and then red wire is power, and yellow wire is our LIN bus. Now I could hook it directly up to this, and then I guess we could just provide, we'd have to provide 12 volts out here. That's, I'm slowly remembering how these things work, because this has its own 5 volt that it provides. Yeah, the mold must cost a lot. A lot of teeny tiny little text in the mold. So let's see here. All that writing and nothing is specifically labeled. Yeah, well, because they're going to use this connector in a couple different devices, right? So you don't want to necessarily have the same pinout for everyone, I guess. I don't know. I'm not BMW. I wonder what we'll be able to see if this thing is going to be trying to communicate from the get-go. It would be very nice if it was. Okay, so this is 12 volt. Putting 12 volts on a red wire, I don't know. I don't like that. But then again, I'm just following computer conventions, which is yellow is 5 volts and, or the yellow is 12 volts and yeah, okay. Sorry, doing two things at once. My brain is somewhere else. Let me get, we've got to add wires to this because I need to be able to put 12 volts in from the other end. So where are my jumpers? All my jumpers. They're over here. I'm just choosing the wrong box constantly. It's not you. All right, let me get out of my stool. In the 80s, for some reason, over here, they loved using blue for VCC and white for ground. That's actually coming from your wall conventions. Because the European power line is blue, and the neutral's white, I think? Or is it the other way around? Blue, yellow, brown. What? Got just a pile of jumpers here that I got to sort out. I don't think I wanted this bin. I want the other jumper bin, but we'll live with this. We'll live with it. I gotta find three similar yumps, and then I can clip to those leads. Actually, no, I only need 2. See, on BMW, typically the brown wire is the one that's carrying ground, and that's the case here. Blue hot, brown neutral, green and yellow ground. I see. I always have to look it up because I never remember. Maybe if I had studied to become a Sparky and my whole career revolved around those conventions, I would bother to even begin memorizing them, but that ain't it for me. So I just look them up every time. This might be like turbo annoying to set up like this. Well, it's how we did the wheel, so I guess I'm going to do it this way here too. hurt myself. See, when you do 2 wires in one of these screw terminals, yeah, it doesn't, one of them gets the grip and then the other one gets kicked out. It's too small of a terminal for me to double up the wires. So I guess what I'll do is we'll just shrink wrap a couple wires to these, and then we can use them with the breadboard. I think that's what we ended up doing anyway, because these screw terminals are very annoying. This is for a different like microcontroller system. You can just take it over with your own lines, and it's a pretty good LIN bus chip. So I decided to buy these in a pinch. I think I have other LIN bus boards, but this one accepts 12 volts in and it makes your 5 volts and all that stuff. So speaking of DuPont, looked at genuine crimpers yesterday. These are way too expensive. You don't need genuine crimpers. You need some of these guys over here. I have the Italian PA09. Oh no, these are Japanese PA09. These do really, really small crimps. And then the Presiva, the Presiva PR3254. This thing is good at your DuPont connectors, actually. Although I need to reset the amount of smashing that it does, because this thing completely smashed the DuPont connectors we did with it. So I guess I need to do that now. Well, we're not going to be crimping DuPonts right now. I'm gonna look for some of these leads that I've cut previously, and we'll solder those onto the BMW wiring that was provided to me with this wonderful switch panel, so that we can get this thing on a breadboard. I can power it up with 12 volts, and then we can monitor and see what kinds of signals are coming out of it. It'll probably put itself to sleep pretty quickly, though. Yeah, the cheapest, nastiest, ideal clones. From a Discord convo. $1,800 for just the 1-pin one. Hey. Oh. That gets a physical reaction. I have to look at the jaws every time. I need to make sure the tighter part of my jaw is on the wire, not on the insulation. That's the unfortunate thing with those, is that you have to get it just right. And since it's more of a universal crimper, you got to kind of be careful with how you're crimping it. I saw some people 3D print stuff to help out with the crimping, and I would love to explore that a little bit. 3D print a couple of things that just hold the pin in the right place. These are all the cursed ones, and somewhere within the cursed ones, there are ones that I have cut already. Now, this is completely and utterly cursed to me. I can't live like, whoa. I know some of you are left from that raid, so I can't live my life like that. I'm a little bit more organized with stuff like this, but I guess this will do okay. IC socket style connectors, yeah. Why are DuPonts all one wire size? I've burned more wires prototyping than I can count. I don't know. I'm just like peeling apart this mess, because I think somewhere either in this one or the other one, there's a group of these that I cut. And I cut them for this very purpose, which is soldering to other wires. I don't want to have to make more of those. But they may have also dispersed to the point where I can't find them anymore. So there's always that. And then there's the ones that I've done cursed things to, like having a DuPont on one end and a jumper wire on the other. I get the silicon wires now and crimp my own DuPonts. They don't burn as quick. That's a good idea. Although time consuming, because I've had whole streams where I've just been crimping wires and I didn't even crimp them well. They just crimped poorly. I'm like, I'm sorry to my viewers, because I don't want to have a stream where I'm just crimping and simping. Crimping ain't simping. Don't let them tell you otherwise. All right, maybe they weren't here. Because, yeah, getting a good crimp is something that I try to emphasize. I try to teach you guys about, because it's important that you use the right technology. Soldering everything is not the answer. Soldering is not the answer, especially in systems that vibrate. If you've got a lot of vibration, that solder joint is going to become a site of flexure, and it will eventually break off at that solder joint. It happens a lot in 3D printers. Especially with the bed power, because they'll give you these long aluminum wires with your bed heater. And so, oh yeah, I'm going to replace my bed heater. Let me put a new bed heater on. Let's stick it down. And then I got to run these wires through the little flexi joint that connects them to the base and then connect it to the base. And well, they're aluminum. They're not for flexing. They're there for their temperature stability. So if you run them all the way to the base of your thing, somehow electrically connect them to a screw terminal, then they're going to flex, they're going to break, and then you will have sparks. I had a very sparky time. One time, 2 times with my printer bed because I ran that aluminum wire all the way back to the controller. I've since replaced it with flexible silicon wires that should last a long time, but for a little bit there, it was pretty bad. All right, I guess I'm gonna have to make new cut wires. So we gotta get 3 different colors because I am easily confused. So we'll use these 2, and I'll add to that. Yeah, one's cursed. All right. Why I have 2 separate bins of jumper wires is beyond my own reckoning. I don't know. I can't explain it. They just materialized here. Wire wrap, yeah, wire wrap is very much still useful. A bazillion sockets and it's kind of therapeutic with an audiobook on. Well, even just in general, wire wrapping is decent for getting a strain resistant connection to something. And it typically comes apart cleanly. I have wire wrapped things before on channel. You guys don't know what that is. You got a special tool and you have solid core wires that are like 30 gauge solid core wires. These are how we build perforated prototyping PCBs. I use these little tiny wire wrapping wires, but what they're really meant for is connecting a circuit on a particular type of breadboard that's just drilled out every 0.1 of an inch. And you use IC sockets and you insert the wire into this device. And this device has just a little, I can't focus the camera. There we go. It has just a little opening where that wire comes through and you twist it around the post. And basically on a square post, what happens is on that edge, on the square edge of the post, the uninsulated wire, the uninsulated wire, which is round, will come into contact with the sharp corner and bend it in. And that creates what's called a cold weld. And that cold weld is really, really good for conducting electricity. Also, if your device is this thick, you can have like a 60-layer circuit board because the wires stack on top of each other. So in Vietnam, they actually used wire wrapping on radio electronics, which allowed for field repair and denser electronics. Yeah, the NASA graphs where wire wrap wins over soldering. That's fascinating. Those are for an aviation use. Are those similar to the ones that they did with the silver solder, not the silver solder, the lead-free solder? Everybody's poo-pooing it so hard at first. And there were like graphs and charts and things like NASA produced that said that they grow hairs and stuff. It's a gas-tight connection? I didn't know it was that. All my wire wrap is terrible. It's crap. So I don't really get good NASA style connections. The NASA wiring guide is actually a really good reference. And it has all the tips on all the different things, all the techniques you can use to build wire harnesses. I still don't like it. It's a religious position at this point. Listen, it's fine. It's fine. It gets the lead out. You don't want lead. We're constantly exposed to leaded things around here, and the human body was not meant to be exposed to these levels of lead. Lead-free solder is fine. It's a little bit, there's a little bit of frustration in working with it, and I understand that, but it's not a deal breaker in terms of the health benefits. And the stuff that they have now is pretty good. You can't really tell that it's lead-free. It just doesn't have that super duper shiny quality to it. And I'm sure they'll come up with some kind of permanent chemical that they can add to it that will make it shiny again, I'm sure. You probably already have it. I don't like connecting wires like this. I would rather have bespoke connectors on either end, but they pigtailed the connector. So either I can repin them or I'll just use a DuPont connector. And once again, every day, something gets soldered. Now we're just going to take a look at this with the oscilloscope. I have a US military 286 wire-wrapped board from some kind of anti-air thing. It's a marvel to look at, I'm sure. Let me take a look. I'm going to click on this thing. It's going to be a picture of a butt. Yeah, that's a picture of a butt. That is a butt. That's a butt with poop in it. Look at that. Oh yeah, just put that in the card rack. Jeez. Memory. You could probably figure out what this thing does just by all the chips. Holy crap. This is an example of wire wrapping. So this is the circuit density that you get with wire wrapping. You have all your circuits up, all your chips are right up against each other. And there's a lot of stuff in there, and there's no need to have a lot of routing room for traces because it's all wires that have been wrapped around square posts. That's wire wrapping. That's a great example of it. The lab I want versus the lab I have. It's true. It's true. Back to this one. Yeah, in theory, it can be maintained in the field. If you know what thingy is supposed to be connected to what thingy before disconnected. Under that nest of wires, all the decoupling caps that they hard soldered, because they had no more space. The sockets that I used to use were what was hardwired. Sorry, not hardwired. The sockets had the decoupling capacitor in it because they would do the same pin on all of the 7400 series logic chips. And so 7400 series logic was the wire wrapping era. Let's get big solder on this one. So I have just a little bit of programming left to do on the drum pad so we can get that to become a CAN bus device, because the TX and the RX pins that are used for USB are also the ST Micro's CAN bus pins. So hopefully I'll be able to just change the serial commands into CAN bus commands. In that same vein, we're going to have system messages that this thing can respond to and do things like light up the backlight and stuff like that. So I haven't figured that stuff out yet. I would like to get the remainder of the buttons of this thing into printable whatever, and the encoder too. So I got a library for the encoder, and I got a library for the matrix keypad. So hopefully we can set that up easily. What a cool channel that raid landed me on. Oh, I appreciate that very much. It's a very high compliment. I want to make a joke, but then it'll no, I won't make it. I could have used the never cook again sign. What a wonderful comment. Thank you so much for saying such nice things about my channel. No, that's not, I'm not serious about that. I don't want to. All right, so if you don't know what we're doing, it's a long explanation. The long explanation involves my brother getting me car parts from his car because he tried to fix a cheap BMW. And the BMW happens to be of 2015 lineage. And so it is an F10 5 Series. And he has gifted me not only a full-size driver's seat, but a shifter. And I think that was it, a couple buttons. So what I've done is tried to make a sim setup, because I had the steering wheel from a Mercedes-Benz S Series, I think, or something. It's a Mercedes-Benz wheel with pedals. That speaks LIN bus, so we can get all the button IDs out of it. This one speaks CAN bus. The headlight switch I have speaks iBus, LIN bus, iBus, CAN bus. The force feedback board that we're going to speaks CAN bus. The shifter speaks CAN bus. basically, we're going to make everything speak CAN bus, including this button pad that I've got sitting in front of me. And that way I can have all of my system messages running around and doing things like backlighting, turning on and off lights, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to route them all through Node Red. Node Red will be able to peel off signals and put them to different things. So if a game gets confused about having one device with 256 buttons on it, I can spin off some of the other buttons onto a different HID joystick. I love the aluminum rail construction. It looks great. I could like crash a truck into this thing and I don't think it would really harm it. I think they're a little bit over the top. The problem is the size down from these that's easy to get is 2020 rail, which is this stuff. I don't think this stuff could hold up an entire American. These I can jump on and they don't deflect at all because we shortened them a little bit too. I don't think I could use the 3x2 or 3x1 rails vertically. I don't think that would stand up to my style of abuse. So the 40/40 rails were all that I could find. There are 30/30 rails, and those are typically the rails that are going into these simulators now, but they're less common. And so all of the little accessories, all the little brackets and stuff either don't exist or are too expensive. We have 40/40 here everywhere, very privileged. Now with solar going mainstream, oh, that's nice. Even the hardware cuts it for you. That would have been nice. Holy, the cutting of that, we did that on stream. We cut that stuff on stream with my circular saw. I don't think having the vacuum nearby would have done anything. I'm still finding chips. Add go-kart wheels, make it actually drivable. I mean, I could. That wouldn't be too hard, but it would be sort of outside, too far outside the purview of what I'm doing. I don't know if this stuff's gonna fit. The shrink that I shrunk. I think I need larger shrink. Yeah, that's not gonna do it. Once I solder it, it's gonna be this big lump in the thing, so I just wasted a bunch of shrink wrap. How can I do this? Oh. Well, I'm super happy that you guys are all fascinated about my channel. It's nice to get a nice big bolus of people in here as opposed to a bolus of insulin. And I hope I kept it slightly entertaining, but now we're down into brass tacks, so things get a little bit less entertaining. I can't work as quickly as some streamers. And I like to work neat because I know how to work neat. Someone donate wheels to bother. Just, I open up a package and it's a bunch of electric wheels. I have two more of those big industrial servo motors. One of them is freakish huge, and I'm not going to use it on the wheel because otherwise it'll break my whole arm off. The one that I've got right now is 2 horsepower. And it's about this size. This is a 3-phase industrial servo motor. We have our own slip ring on it to get LIN bus in because this doesn't lock down at all. So I had to have it go 180 degrees. So instead of the usual clock spring mechanism that would be on this, that would be on a steering wheel, this just goes around 180 degrees. The industrial slip rings for something this size are way too expensive. They're prohibitively expensive. So this, I am going to somehow get onto the end of that steering shaft over here. This is where the previous wheel would hook up just directly, and this would clip onto the side of the desk. But it's a giant 20-pound servo motor that'll run a lathe. It's 2 horsepower, which that's not that much. I have a larger version of that too. So like, I got the electric motors to run it. I'm not going to do that. I don't actually want to build a car. I want to build a fake car. A big fake man baby play toy in the middle of my serious shop. Where did that third piece go? I just had it. I just recovered it from over here, didn't I? Oh no, I didn't. It's right here. Ow. The edges on these things are like sharp. Gotta be careful. I do want one of the 2 horsepower motors, one of the ones that I just showed you. I want to get it running on the mill. I think that would be a good mill motor. mill motor. And I actually have seen my exact motor on my exact mill. Somebody did a bunch of mill modifications and had like a PDF file that would that had all the modification details in it. Orange is going to be signal. So orange to yellow. We should do that close up. Driving your simulator to a LAN party. Yeah, having the Pennsylvania cops friggin' body me with their cruiser in an unregistered vehicle. Super fun. Buying like an old mill is something that I would love to do. I just don't have room for it. Mine is a desktop mill, and actually, believe it or not, paid for by Reddit. Reddit paid for that. When I was just setting up this shop and I thought I'd be doing a bunch of consulting work and stuff, I won what's called the Reddit Millionaire Makers Contest. And the idea was, if everyone in a particular subreddit, it was shower thoughts, if everyone gave somebody $5, they could make a millionaire. And it's just a little $5 donation. And so what they would do is they would run these threads on Reddit where you would just have to make a singular comment and you could win that contest. And so I did that a couple times, and then I actually ended up winning one. 4 o'clock in the morning, I was on the internet and I got this message over Reddit, and I'm like, okay, what's this going to be? Open it up and it's like, hey, you might want to make like a second account on PayPal for donations because you're going to get a couple. I was like, what? Yeah, apparently they went through the thread using some kind of crypto randomizer. And my comment was the second one. The first one that was chosen was some kind of a bot. They determined that the person's comment history was like bot posts. So when all the dust had settled from all of that, I got about $1,500. And I was like, well, I could pay rent with that, or I could do something that's a little bit more visceral. And since I'm trying to get this shop going and I'm just have like a drill press sitting in the corner, that was going to be my drill press, which actually sits in another part of the basement. I decided to get the full-blown, miniature mill, the entry-level mill that you can do okay work. And I've done some decently precision work with this. Mainly, actually one of the only great examples that I have of things that I've built successfully is the adapter for my camera arm. I can't show it off though. We anodized it black too. Anyway, it's a glorified drill press, but it does do some milling stuff pretty okay. Coupled with the DRO so that my dumbass can actually drill holes in the right spot. It's a pretty powerful tool. That doesn't work. The X-axis broke. The rail for the X-axis that gives me the DRO broke. The DRO was like my superpower. I can still do stuff on the mill. I'm just not great with it anymore. So I don't have room for a lathe, so I'm not getting a lathe. It's just one of the things. I don't need one. One day I'll get a lathe, but getting good with the mill took me long enough. I'm okay with it. But yeah, so that's why that thing even exists here. And it's been a pretty decent tool. I'm going to separate these so I don't melt my beautiful thing. I don't ruin my beautiful shirt. Yeah, so that's like taxpayer funded. Of course, I'm a guy and I'm not in any kind of dire strait. So I only got $1,500. Other winners of the Millionaire Maker contest have done much, much better than me. And then every now and then I'll get a message because Bitcoin did something. Whenever Bitcoin did something, I get people going, hey, your account is pretty public and it's got money in it. I'm like, all right. The thing is that Bitcoin would have been worth more. I had almost 1 Bitcoin. And then because Reddit was connected to my Bitcoin account and I didn't two-factor authenticate my Reddit account or the Bit account, I don't know which one it is. What are you guys forping at? Who's forping? I don't even see. That's not, oh, what's going on there? Why did we just, the fart box just reconnected? How's my bitrate doing? Bitrate's doing fine. Anyway, the point is, I didn't have everything secured. And so hackers got in and they stole 0.9 of my 1 Bitcoin. Did the heat gun fall cause a reset? I don't know why that would make fart noises, because the fart box is kind of its own independent thing. And unless I was on that web page with Node-RED, that shouldn't have done it. That just hit my mouse, which hopefully didn't. 3D Connections sent this mouse to a whole bunch of the Fusion 360 guys. And so I've got it on camera right now, and it's a good mouse. I'm hesitant to call it worth $100 for both this and the 3D puck, because that typically sits and collects dust. I don't have much use for one. You might, if for instance you were showing a client a design. It's really good at kind of doing a nice slow walk animation that you can fully control. But I use the mouse daily. It's decent on the streaming computer. I don't know if I would go out and buy one, but then again, the gaming mice that I've had typically die after a couple years. So we're gonna see what happens to this one, if this one actually lasts through my shenanigans. It's been doing pretty good because I've been hitting it. The hiccups, man. My body is trying to reject what I ate for lunch. I'll hit this thing with a giant blast of static electricity, and some mice don't take that very well. Some mice really don't like a giant blast of static electricity in their buttocks, directly up, if you will. And so this one has taken it pretty well in stride. I think maybe there's slightly better engineering inside of this thing. The Steel Series mice I have eventually are just done with my shit, and they just throw up their arms and stop working. All right, let's get the oscilloscope in on this. I was smart enough that right when this DHO 914 came to market, I paid $1,000 for it, and you too can get on that great deal, because now it's worth like $600. Anyway, check out how fast this lean sports car of an oscilloscope starts up. This thing is like high technology. Check this out. Ready? Here we go. Go. Just to show you, I need to be on camera just to show you exactly how breakneck. There's the Rigol logo. Here we go. Here we go. We're getting into it. Check that. Awesome. Just such a fast. We are still waiting for it to do anything. But like, we're going to measure a bunch of stuff with it. It's going to be great. This thing is high technology. It's like the latest and greatest in startup oscilloscope technology. Please, I beg of you, startup. Please, I beg of you. Most of my day is behind. I go, come on. It clicked. It made a click noise. There it is. It takes 58 seconds to start up. That's crazy. Crazy. It works, but it still takes an inordinate amount of time for this thing to boot. It's kind of unacceptable. But I can do things like this. Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Put the scope up on screen so that you guys can see it in full FPS. All right, ground to ground. Actually, let me get a little prototype board. Little tiny prototype board. These are good for oscilloscope setups. $100 of RAM. Those are DDR4, my friend. I think they're 16 gigs. 32 gigs? No. PC4, 8G by 4. These really 32? How much RAM does this computer have in it? Wait a minute. I wish I had more slots for this RAM, because, yeah. Funnily enough, Android bloat is probably on par with Windows CE. At least Windows CE was running on bare metal. Ugh. This computer. Open that up. Take a look. Oh, that was the wrong. System information. I had to upgrade the RAM on this thing because this machine's getting old and computers are not cheap right now. The viewer that sent in this RAM sent it literally the week before RAM went freaking crazy. Joking about the quality boot time. Oh, I see. It was in a different direction. I see. Sorry, that's streamer dementia. I have severe streamer dementia. Installed physical memory, 32 gigs. Yeah. So there's 16s. I don't know why 16 isn't written on this thing somewhere. Why there's 32. DDR4 2400. Do I have two different sizes? Is some of these 16, some of these are 32? No, it's 15Q. Yeah, okay. So there's the... These are all 16 modules. No, they're all 8 modules? I don't fucking know. I don't know, man. I've lost my brain. My brain no longer functions. I don't understand why this computer doesn't have more. Okay. Let's just plug this thing in. So these are basically just little metal clips. They look a lot like... Where'd it go? Oh, there it is. Like this. There, let's get closer. That's not closer. I clicked the wrong thing. They're just little metal clips that are held in plastic, and they allow me to prototype things by just stuffing the pins inside of these holes, and they'll connect each row of 5. Yeah, the clear ones are cool because you can see all the sparks inside of them. I only have the one clear one. Sometimes you need to break them in too, which is really annoying. Yeah, like this one's fighting me a little bit. And then because everything is getting just irreversibly cheaper, these have become super duper duper cheap, and you get bad quality ones and they just don't work out nicely. Luckily they are cheap. What's the jumper wire situation around here? Yeesh. Pretty abysmal. I ran memcheck on them. I had to do a little bit of swapping of modules in order to get everything set up for the new RAM. And I was able to use the faster ones, but I've only got 4 RAM slots. So unfortunately, we're not super duper propelled into the 21st century by having just an absolute buttload of RAM on the computer. This computer needs RAM because it's a streaming computer. And really, honestly, I could split this computer into 2. And then I would have the game computer, the stream computer, and then the broadcast computer. And then the server. It's a lot of stuff. Oh, that's power. I don't want that on power. And then leads. It lets you see when you've melted the crap out of one. Have a white one with some toasted marshmallow holes. Yeah. I've got, I don't know where all my toasted marshmallow holes are. That's a weird thing to say on camera. Watch what you're saying, Bother. Come on. It's just, I'm just looking for a power and a ground wire. We've got so many breadboard setups that are involved in the simulator that I'm starting to run out of the common jumper wires that I use. Context be damned. Additional PCIe card to handle the workload of the USBs saves on the CPU. That's what I have. Yeah, I got those. I have 3 of them installed for my 4 cameras, 5 cameras. This is a camera. If I wasn't already following Toasted Marshmallow Holes, I would do it. Is that a streamer? That better be a streamer. Okay, and this one goes to ground. And then I remove the positive hook. So like the breadboard just helps you kind of deal with the spaghetti a little bit. I've been through many a college course and whatnot else where the test setup is just absolutely the most cursed thing, and I can't do that. What the heck was that? Something is rolling across the ceiling. I feel like my dog has taken her treat ball and rolled it across the kitchen floor above me. Okay, so let's just see if we get any digital signals out of this thing just powering it up. So what I do, unplug, turn this on. This is a 50-volt power supply. If you want to see what this 50-volt power supply can do, take a look at my clips. My #1 clip, the one that went viral with something like 70,000 views, the only time I've ever gone viral in 10 years of doing this, was when I put a 50-volt power line onto a 30-volt capacitor. And it is exactly what you would expect. Voltage goes to 12, and then we're pretty much ready to go. I can plug this in because it's not powered on yet. Giving this thing full power right off the bat is brave, and it's what I do here. You can try to sneak things up in power just to make sure your system isn't shorted out on something. What's up, Madam? How you doing? You can start with like 2 volts and go to 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You know, all the while just observing what kind of parasitic current consumption is in your device. Or you can full send it like I do, so that if anything funny is going to happen, it happens. So 3, 2, 1, full send, boom, goes the dynamite. No current is being drawn. No signal on the line. I don't know if the LIN bus needs to be pulled up for it to function. No current draw. Both leads are connected. Ground is going to power. No, ground is going to... Okay, I soldered these wrong. Wait a minute. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. Turn it off. These are not soldered correctly. What was I doing? Oh, that's stupid. These two are flipped. Well, no, power's on yellow because that's positive power. This one is definitely ground. So these two are ground. I'm going to move them to the other side. So ground. Ah, hand cramps. The wonders of having type 1 diabetes. And then the middle one is yellow. Middle one is LIN bus. LIN bus is on the orange. There. And then this one is power. It goes to this one, which is kind of a loose-ish connection, but I think it should be okay. So that should be it all hooked up. Give it power again. There was a little bit of current draw, and I didn't see anything happening digitally. Let's just check what happens in that first little bit when it comes up to power. Yeah, nothing's flashing by. Why is that on like a weird voltage? There we go. So I got 10 volts coming through this thing. If we speed ourselves way up, and turn it off. Well, what if I hit a button? Nothing. That seemed to have done something to the power, though. But I think that was maybe just this moving, yeah. So the transceiver, does that need anything? Where was that? That was the Atmel. V battery, through that, blah, blah, blah. Mode, OSC, wake up, ground. Where's LIN bus input? In H? Doesn't need anything. Oh, LIN is here, okay. 1 kiloohm to 12 volts. So let's put 1K to 12 volts on this thing. Which again, the breadboard helps us do. And that pull down resistor might be in other devices. This one's, the hell? Is that 1K? It looks like 1BK. Is that Burger King? 10K. All right, never mind. do 39. 6, 7. Ha 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 ha. 100K. Probably this one's 1K. What are you? I hate how cheap these resistors have become. Breadboarding is so much more of a hassle with these thin leads. 4.7. Not quite. What are you? I didn't write you down. Maybe this one? No, too small. It would be 1K is one of the sizes that you buy 1,000 of. Yeah, there's 1K. Okay. So get this. And then I just need to loop this down on itself. Cut the leads short. And then from the LIN bus pin to power, we have a 1K resistor. So let's just plop this sucker down. What is that on there? Is that a jumper that I didn't notice? Oh no, it's just plastic from the front of the lead. Strange. Like that. Okay, it immediately came out because the breadboard was not broken in. God. Wasn't broken in, so it bent the leads as I tried to plug it in. The way I break these in is with a pin tool. I have a pin tool and I just shove that mofo into the holes that I'm going to use. Usually I'll do the whole board at once. They just need like a little break in. Otherwise those clips don't expand and you end up bending stuff. All right, so let's try that again. Take 2. That goes like that. And then we move our power leads over. It's on the right row? Yeah. Why are you plugging in? Which one is that one? Jeez. This thing is a cheap breadboard and really shows. Good God, I think that's plugged in all right. Doesn't feel like it. Well, let me try moving it over to another pin. Ugh. It's like pre-broken. Let me turn power off. Let me turn the power off. Jeez. Okay. Power this up. I still don't see any communications. So this thing may need to be woken up by another signal. So we'll have to connect it to a microcontroller. I'm assuming that I'm connecting it correctly, but there's no parasitic current draw coming from it. I would expect this thing to try to reach out every time it powers up, but the steering wheel did the same thing where it doesn't do anything until we start giving it LIN bus addresses, and then if you get the address right, it'll send a packet that represents where all its stuff is. I am assuming that's what's going to be going on here. Even though this thing is setting backlight, I guess it needs to get a signal from somewhere else in order to do backlight. So yeah, guess that's not the... Yeah, it's only going to be a response device. Okay, well, now we know. Now we know. There's a possibility that I could put it into a mode where it speaks out of nowhere, but I don't think that's really going to be the case here. There's probably some other signals that it needs to get sent. So we're going to have to get into iBus packets. And that's going to be something that I'll have to research. I'll research that a little bit tomorrow, and maybe when we come back tomorrow, we'll do a programming stream. But I'm not going to draw this on any longer than I need to. I know that Uo Raid, we still got 200 people in here. Holy shit. Is Uo streaming right now? Sometimes he comes back online. I'm going to just take a look real quick. There's nothing else I can do on this until we do a significant bit of programming and I learn what the bus looks like. So I don't want to throw you guys into Crimson Desert. Polrin is doing software stuff. That's about it. It's kind of a quiet day. Well, what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna stop streaming forever. No, he'll be back in a couple hours. Okay, I don't have a couple hours of content. I need to do a lot of reading in order to figure out how all this stuff works, because iBus is not LIN bus, it's similar, and I need to figure out how. He said he was coming back later today. I've done the thing where what I do is I'll stop stream and then I'll walk the dog and come back and then I'll discover that he's been on. And I'm like, oh no, I could have rated him. But no, I don't think that's going to be the case. I'm not going to be streaming for another couple hours on this, because the next couple hours of work on this project is me like snorting a little bit as I click through data sheets and, you know, Googling like BMW forums. So it's not something that you guys should be witness to. And I don't like dragging things out around here. 6 p.m. Eastern. Oh, see, I usually end like 3:30, 4:30. So a shame we don't meet up more. Not going to promise, but, you know, I do want to alter my streaming schedule a little bit and do some later stuff. We'll see if I've got it in me. I have a lot of work to do on this, so I'm going to go do that. I'm going to walk my dog. I will be on Discord. Discord is my only social media at this point. My Blue Sky got hacked, and it tried to peddle a bunch of porn stuff. So that Blue Sky link is kaput. The Discord server link, that still works, a little bit at least. But yeah, we will come back on Thursday. Not streaming on Wednesday. That was typically to do research projects, and that's because when previously recorded live would stream, so I'd watch their streams on Thursday, on Wednesday. That's Rich Evans and Jack Packard from Red Letter Media. Used to watch their streams all the time. They don't stream anymore, but I will be back in approximate. I got it wrong. I guess I didn't update it. I must have forgotten to. 5 days, 3. That's not right. That's not right. It's Thursday. I'll be back on Thursday. Convenience story. We all know you're into weird stuff. I designed a controller for those guys. That was my involvement with them, and why I kept Oh Bother instead of rebranding. That's a story for another day. I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm back on Thursday. Thursday. What's this button do?